Hello, hello. Welcome over to NLC Division 2. We are back for another playoff series. This time we head into the losers bracket where Lazy in Life will be heading back to the Rift for the first time on the new patch against Garden Gaming, who got defeated by Rich Gang 3-1 earlier on in the playoffs. I'm joined by Black Blocks. Welcome back to the stream.
Oh, so excited to be doing this again. I mean, the playoffs have already shown us some crazy games. I think that the current patch is not that different from the meta we've been seeing before, but still opens up these teams to also some crazy games. So as much as, it going all the way could be fun, I could see these games going long individually too, and then being very bloody the whole way through.
The earlier series that we had where 42 faced off against Unique. Even though it was a 3-0, we did see a bunch of early game aggression, and we did see the new variable in our new patch, Aurora, show up a couple of times. That brings me to the question for the day. We haven't seen Lazy in Life yet in the playoffs. They've only played on 14.14 for 2 games, or 3 games, can't remember exactly. And this is the first time we see them appear on 14.15. Has the team adapted, especially when Pibble, their mid laner, is such a heavy mage player?
I just doubt it. I doubt it so much, right?
Damn.
If you haven't adapted at this point, why would you have managed to do it in the last 7 days? I'm not saying that they couldn't have done. There's always a chance that we are going to see some of these mid lane AD picks coming out. But at this point, you've got yourself into the playoffs playing this AP heavy style in the mid lane. You've been making it work. It's not like this team was terrible. They came out of our regular season in a good spot. They weren't the best 7-7. They were at 500. Not terrible. I just would be very surprised to see them change everything at this point in the competition. But obviously, if there is any point at which you need to change things up, it's once you get into the playoffs, especially because they didn't come in as one of our top teams, so they have joined us in the losers bracket. One loss and you are done here. So this is really a do or die situation. I would be surprised by it, but it could happen.
And you already mentioned the fact that they are an AP heavy team playing the mages. That doesn't just apply to the mid lane. You also have Tidebringer on the Seraphine, on the Veigar, has shown so many things in the past year and a half that
so many zigs.
They just know how to make those mages work. But when the meta rotates out, where is the point where the meta becomes so much more powerful than your regular style that you have to get Tidebringer on those hefty AD carries like the Kaiser?
I feel like the answer is unfortunately at this point, right? We
Yeah.
have been seeing it quite a lot. Doing some UKL yesterday, and there were 2 teams who neither of them decided to play with the AP matchup. With the ADs in the mid lane. They both went APs in the mid lane. It was a bloodbath. It was very normal. But all of us are very worried about those teams going on to face the better teams who do play the meta, because they're very good at their AP style. And when they're up against other teams who have decided to stick with what has been meta in League of Legends for years and years, that's fine. But when you do come up against these better teams who know how to play what is the absolute strongest in the meta right now, that is when it doesn't particularly work anymore. And I think that this is going to be quite the challenge. Obviously, the team that they're up against right here in Garden Gaming did not have a very nice time in the first round. Lost 3-1 to Rich Gang. Obviously, Rich Gang are a great team, but still, they kind of got bashed around in that series. And I do wonder if Garden Gaming are going to be pretty angry coming into this one, know that this is their last shot as well, and they also do play the meta a lot more.
Yeah, and Garden also has some questions yet to be answered, where we've seen them play one series in the playoffs already. They didn't show too much of the meta champions either. We'll see how they do in Champions Select, though, as I believe we are ready to go. Ban's already underway, and yeah, Lazy has done the homework. All of the champions that they showed good proficiency with in the earlier series are banned away from God.
Yeah, just gonna be losing everything that you would really like to be able to pull out right here as Garden Gaming. I think the Ashe is particularly strong as a ban at the moment, and we are gonna see the Aurora off of the board. Let's go. Don't want to be seeing that on my screen at the moment, and I feel like your question may
Okay.
have just been answered already, Carvis. No, they're not changing things up. The Orianna as a first pick, obviously, there's nothing wrong with the Orianna as a first pick. There's basically nothing that can actually fight it in the lane. It's very good at neutralizing the lane, always going to be good into your kind of wombo combo-esque compositions that we get quite a lot, but at the same time, it's not hyper proactive. It doesn't do that much in the laning phase, not in the same way that an AD mid laner potentially can, and there are still a lot of the best ones available on the board. So that's being said, a lot of the best supports are still around the Leona, the Rel. Those have been the premier picks, and the Leona are going to be picked up right here for Garden Gaming.
Wouldn't be surprised if it gets paired up with something like a Kai'Sa. That pairing has been wreaking havoc. Ezreal also. It is also a flex pick between mid and AD. We haven't seen Squidly on anything else but the Corki when it comes to AD carries just yet. But there's a possibility. And this Kai'Sa and Ezreal both are the type of AD carries that can stay safe from the incoming Orianna combo, unless it's something like a Vi. Vi can give you some issues when it comes to those sort of things, but usually Lazy has been defaulting into stuff like the Xin Zhao when they pair things up with the Orianna. Hecarim would be very interesting, but Misfortune...
That makes much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Misfortune has been showing up lately.
So much. We've seen a ton of them. It gets paired very often with the Rel because that Magnet Storm combo works so well. Anything you can kind of get a wombo combo going with is going to be great, and you already have the Orianna. So this means that you right here, Lazy, you are telegraphing what you want to do as a team comp. You want to fight as big front-to-back 5v5 team fights where you find the angle. The Rakan still fits that build perfectly well. You can use that charm into knock-up to get people into a close enough area for the Orianna for the Misfortune to work very well. Lazy do need some frontline though, some big tanky frontline. The Rel usually is a part of that. Rakan isn't so much because you have to be able to buy space for both an Orianna and a Misfortune. They're super immobile, super squishy if you can get on top of them. Something that a Leona does have a very easy time doing. It is an AD mid laner.
That's not an AD carry though. That's a Zed.
It's AD, and it's in the mid lane. It counts, Carvis. It counts, okay? Holy, I've not seen a Zed in the mid lane in a while, and certainly not at this level. Into Orianna, though, we were talking about how she's great at neutralizing lanes. You don't neutralize this lane. This lane is miserable for the Orianna.
Yeah, and Zed is... We've had Zed players. Usually, they get very quickly promoted to Division 1, though.
Yeah.
And... the tradition continues. As you said, this Z pick makes the neutralizing extremely difficult once both characters hit level 6. And Orianna needs to be extremely careful not to eat too much poke. And this is why Garden is now banning junglers. Remove everything that can pressure the Z early on and pair well with the Orianna for those early game dragon fights.
Does the MF live at any point during any fight here?
That's a good question.
Leona can get on top of it very easily. And then you've also got yourself the Zed, which just makes it that much worse. Both of the best AP junglers have now been taken off of the board. You obviously would really like an AP jungler right here as Garden Gaming.
Rumble.
That's not an AP jungler. Yeah, a Rumble, Diana could be pretty good. Also for the dive, get into the backline, disrupt things quite a lot. Haven't been seeing it quite so much recently. but it is still one of those, great picks that you can take into the jungle for AP. Like you said, the Rumble could be pretty good as well.
Oh,
So
or
it's a Gwen top lane, or a Rumble top lane, or something heavily AP top lane, right?
I don't think you want to play Rumble into Ivan. I would heavily favor the blind Gwen if you have to go that route, but once you pick the Gwen, you don't really have anything to press buttons towards the enemy with. Cassante makes a lot more sense here, provides the additional front line, and
Oh,
eventually
no,
when you
no.
have...
Gwen for Garden Gaming. Sorry, I did not
Oh,
make that clear. Yeah, no, Cassante absolutely makes sense. Sorry, carry on.
yeah, but the Cassante is really good at
Mm.
just eating skill shots that are flying towards your backline. Oh no.
Is it the combo?
Oh
Are we
no.
getting the combo between the Oriana and the Nocturne?
I
This
think
is
I prefer the Nocturne here, honestly. That,
Either's a pretty good ball delivery system, but yes, I think that the Nocturne actually does work a little bit better. But I think the Vi can give you a little bit more protection for your MF in a way that, the Nocturne really doesn't provide that. But, there's no AP on this composition, Carlos.
I mean, do you need it when you have Camille?
No, I guess if you just deal more AD damage than your opponents have health, then it doesn't really matter if you've not got a mixed damage profile. This is a very fighting heavy composition right here out of Garden Gaming. They want to scrap as much as possible. They kind of need to get leads going on early. I love the Ivan. If you are going for a Zed and a Camille, I love the Ivan because you needed that bit of extra support, that bit of extra survivability for these heavily diving-based champions. And I think that although it's a crazy comp, Garden Gaming's, it makes sense. It has an identity in a way that often compositions with one or two assassins feel like they lack.
I don't even think it's that crazy. I think it... When you, look at it in a vacuum, the only crazy thing really is the Zed. But if you look at everything that they have on their team, it meshes quite well together when it comes to power spikes, when it comes to when they start to scale up into the game. They can play together whenever Solar Flare lands. You have that extra follow-up. You can peel away with Zed Shadows and Ivan. And you play the Ezreal kid gets to do his own thing. The only question that I have is if the Camille goes wrong, how do you deal with the Cassante?
You probably don't. There's not really anybody that deals with the Cassante here, right? It is just the Camille, and even then, that's going to take a little while once the Cassante gets a couple of items under his belt at this point. And this Cassante, I think it works so well with the composition that you've picked up for yourself right here as Lazy. You needed that beefy frontline that can just buy space for these backline carries, and that is what this composition is, but there is so much backline access available for Garden Gaming that you're going to have to be very careful. I think there's a lot right here on Sim, on Milkshake, and on Strato to try to keep these carries going, because otherwise, I don't know how long either Pibble or Tidebringer are going to be for this world, and once you remove either of those, not even just, both of them, even just one of those off of the board, that's basically all of the damage profile just gone. That being said, Cassante can just take someone over the wall, remove them from the fight. I think potentially even the Ivan could be a good pick right here, because it removes so much of that survivability and so much of that stun ability off of the Garden Gaming composition.
Yeah, first you have to reach the Ivan, but after that, then you are perfectly able to take the jungler out of the picture and let your team do their thing. Misfortune, very aggressive pick with the Oriana drafted early on, giving away the identity of the composition. Garden responds with a heavy side lane threat and a very AD heavy explosive composition. We'll get to see how which one comes out ahead once we head over to the Rift.
I think it's because Abyssal Mask is so strong. Nobody wants to play an AP champion right now because that can just absorb all of your damage. Obviously, that's simplifying things right here, but that could well be a part of the idea where, hey, if we can get our AP neutralized that easily, let's just go all in. Let's just kill people.
I mean, that's how you win games. Reduce
Yeah.
the HP to 0 from everything. You generally do tend to win. And the Z is the only thing that I'm wondering is how well is the Z going to play into the Oriana early on? As you said, when the Oriana was initially picked up, a heavy lane bully.
Yeah.
Will be punishing anyone who dares to come close. Sure, there'll be a Doran's shield on Zed's inventory, but it's still going to be rough until the level 6 mark.
Yes. It's not like this Zed matchup just completely takes over the Orianna unless you outplay massively, which obviously is a potential point. It could happen. But if it doesn't, you are still trying to just get yourself into strong positions early on, and Orianna is good at poking people out, so it's not guaranteed.
Well, let's see who gets poked out. We head into game 1 of today's playoff match between Garden Gaming and... that's not rich, gang. Production!
Poor Garden. They're just getting flashbacks to that previous series. 3-1, the Rich Gang took them out. Like I said, no, it is going to be Garden Gaming versus Lazy in Life.
Oh, Ragon hopped over the wall.
Yeah.
They see Loki. Loki could get caught out. Just a couple more seconds for the W to come back
He's
up.
going to go for the long way. Oh no, he's taking himself out of position.
Oh, they don't know. They don't know about
so
this.
sad.
This
Loki
could go...
is so lucky.
This could go very wrong for Garden, though, since they don't really know what is going on. Ivan gets the ward onto the Raptors, so there's at least a bit of information on what Lazy is doing. But they could have gone for an invade at the 125 mark if they wanted to.
Yeah, they definitely could have. They could have just kept on pushing forwards. And actually, Loki does walk back through, will have just been spotted out. So you're going to be well aware on where both of these junglers are starting. I think that means a lot more right now for the Vi, because Vi is so gank focused. She's so good at getting ganks going, especially once you hit the level 6, obviously. But until that point, you really do want to get a couple going earlier on. And knowing where this jungler is going to be huge for Garden Gaming. At the same time, Ivan gets very low during his clears, and Vi can be pretty good on an invade. So it'll be interesting to see if Milkshake decides to take that path, try to harass onto Garden Gaming, try to get on top of Loki, because another thing with the Ivan is the pathing could be very telegraphed.
Zenith Blade, also quite telegraphed. I mean, sticks around for a bit too long in that trade. He needs half of his HP in response. As Pibble showing the range versus melee matchup in the mid lane. This is pretty much what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. During the early levels, especially up until level 3, it's going to be pretty sad for Squidly, but it's once you hit that level 6 mark that you really come online, both on the roams, where you can roam a lot quicker than this Orianna can, but also in terms of potentially getting yourself your own solo kills in that lane matchup too, as it looks like, unfortunately, Tidebringer is going to have a little bit of a connection issue. So we will quickly jump back to our cams, and at least we get to pause and talk about these matchups a little bit more, because although nothing explosive has happened in the early game, it is kind of showing what we were expecting early on.
And the ones to keep heavy attention on, in my opinion, are the top and bot sides of the map. The mid lane will be, as previously mentioned, quite silent until the level 6, unless the junglers get involved. But top lane, Camille is already holding quite heavy priority.
And the Camille always was going to have that into this Cassante. The Cassante really needs quite a lot of items under his belt to be able to pop off in a way that means you can actually fight face-to-face up against a Camille. Does not have that at the moment, obviously, and so it's going to have to wait a little bit to try to get priority back in that lane. For the time being, as the Camille, you would love a solo kill, or you would love for your jungler to come join in, try to help out in that fight, because the Ivan is great on gank setup. If you can land that stun, it's even easier to get on top of them as the Camille. You don't have to waste your hookshot. Wall dive can wait for that a little bit later on into the combo, and also just getting a little bit of extra support to potentially get an early base off onto this Camille. Once you get a bit of an item advantage going, this lane goes from pretty scary to just awful to play as the Cassante.
And that's the thing that we talked about in draft. Will this Cassante ever get a chance to go with his team and be the huge meatball in the front line that is so difficult to get through? Because Camille will be outputting a ton of pressure. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ravenous Hydra, Trinity Force, and then you head to the nearest tower and just completely ignore the rest of your team.
Yeah.
Uzal will be having the time of his life. If it wasn't up to me, I would have gone Smolder here, most likely. In a very similar fashion, but would be fighting with the team a bit more. But here, Uzal is just fully committing to the lane dominance aspect.
Yeah, just what can you do? Let's just go fight constantly. I love it. I mean, I would have liked the Smolder a lot less, so maybe that's a bit of bias right here.
I
don't like
understand.
that champion.
UK and the smallest lander. You have to talk with Jay Real. He will teach you the lessons that I gave him.
No, no, no. I think we've been scarred by some of the smolder play in our region, and nobody wants to see it anymore. But either way, we don't have one in this game. It is going to be the Camille, and yeah, if you look on your minimap right now, you can see all of the pressure that is going on right now.
Loki, though, approaching the bot side of the map, is out of vision. Sim and Tidbringer have all of the summoners up, but the lane is slowly but surely pushing. Ermin starts to go in. Still no Ivern to be seen, waiting for cooldowns to be popped. And by approaching from the river, finds a level 4 enemy jungler. People will be rotating over, so
I'm
most likely not going to fight here unless Sim and Tidbringer start to collapse.
This could, yeah, potentially have been a collapse. Garden Gaming were stuck between an Orianna, a Vi, and then the MF and the Rakan. Doesn't end up happening. You are just going to be able to walk away, but... Oh, hang on. Oh, no.
Oh.
Squiddly, run! Has the flash.
Has the flash and has the shadow as well.
Yeah.
Will be most likely forced to expend his teleport since the wave... doesn't even need to. Has to...
No, Loki being
support.
here has really ruined this play for Pibble, unfortunately.
As bot lane, again, have a small scrap.
Vi is in the lane. Milkshake is looking for a gank here.
Yeah, trying to look for an opportunity to go in. Won't get the knock up just yet. Force this flash out of Ermin. But the wave is still in a really annoying position for guarding gaming bot lane. Knowing the buy is down on the bot side of the map, they can't approach at all.
No, they really can't, but a small silver lining, Tidebringer did just miss the cannon, so clearly that was actually a negative play right there. The jungler made the bot lane and missed the cannon. It's always going to be a sad situation. No, you're right. The wave situation was pretty bad right there. MKL, they have actually been able to walk back in. Now, Ermin, no flash. Doesn't hurt as much because you do have that Hex Flash available, but also we've seen multiple times where the Sleone has gone in, had a lot of health chucked out, and then has to limp away. That you are making that a lot riskier of a play to make because you don't have the flash to get back out. Also, you know, there's a lot less aggression that you can play through when you have to use the more telegraphed Hex Flash rather than just being able to flash on top of your opponents. It gives Tidebringer that little bit of extra safety, but still 5 minutes into this game, haven't had any kills go down, not through lack of trying from anybody right now though, but as we do have a Hex Drake available and the grubs spawning in just about 30 seconds time, I think we are likely going to be seeing some scraps relatively soon. As of right now, I think the grubs are super important for Garden Gaming because being able to get split pushing ability onto a Zed and a Camille is huge for being able to really control... Okay, never mind. This game.
Yeah.
Squiddly, that's... Uh-oh.
Squiddly pressed W a little bit too early. Didn't respect the level 6... incoming level 6 for the Orianna. Haven't hit it just yet, want to get that little bit of extra poke in. Instantly punished by the level up, and now the laning phase will get a bit more difficult. As Zed's assassination potential just got, I'd say, cut in half, if not even further.
Absolutely. I mean, you have lost so much of that early aggression potential, as this is just going to be lazy walking away from that gank right there out of low key. And we were talking about, oh, once you hit the level 6, that's the point at which this Zed really comes online. Certainly should be the point at which the Zed comes online. Milkshake is in the area if Gun Gaming push too far. They are going to be happy enough to just step back. Basically, everybody from the spot lane has yet to recall. The only person who has right here is Ermin. It looks like potentially the Drake could be on the cards. No, it is just going to be a recall out of MKL right here. A little bit of extra vision going down. And these lanes return basically to as they were, just with a lot less threat into this mid lane, as we've been saying.
Yeah, both the bot laners have been kind of allergic to basing until now. And that's the reason why Sim and Tidebringer, even though they get a bit caught off guard by the incoming gank from the Ivern, they just took 0 damage. The levels are just giving them the amount of base armor where there's no threat for either team just yet.
We watch the top laners have a little bit of a brawl. Oh, that's actually really bad.
Stratos is stuck underneath the tower, flash forward, and did a true damage auto attack solo kill up on the top side, making up for the mistakes of the mid lane matchup. As long as this Camille starts to pop off, Garden will be finding themselves in a nice position heading into the mid game.
Absolutely, Camille can really change the way that you have to play out games, just because her split potential is so strong. You've all seen plenty of games, right, where the Camille is split pushing, sure, the rest of the team is losing, but you end up losing more and more towers as the game goes on. It can be super tricky to try to play against. Uzo getting that kill is really nice, and it's a really bad mistake right there, Strato, especially because they'd finally managed to get enough armor and enough health under their belt that they weren't just constantly being pushed in. They were actually the one getting the push going. Step a little bit too far forwards. I'm going to stop the recall of Uzo right here, which is good. That was a pretty good tempo reset for Uzo if they're able to get it off. As we do watch Milkshake just take this blue buff in the face of the opposition. And Squiggly now getting jumped on top of. Can you really kill this Zed here?
Exhausted, but it's a bit early. Just duking
wow.
back and forth, trying to escape, but so many point
boy.
click CCs are coming in. MKL with no ways to hop over than the flash. Has to use it to escape from Tidebringer. Now top side, it was also interrupt recall. Goes punished by Strato, interrupting the hook shot. No flash available. Loki's trying to save his top lane. A shield comes in and saves the life of Uzo. Great play from Strato, but the enemy jungler sadly there to make things right for Garden.
Oh man, it doesn't show up in terms of the scoreboard, you know. Managed to save top laner's life, but that was a great play out of Loki to recognize that, was booking it over to the top lane just about. Going to keep Uzo alive and keep all of that, you know, lead that he fought for himself. And Kelly, you need to be careful here.
Yep, past the level 6 though, Tidebringer popping the barrier, keep himself alive, and Ermin with the Ignite is more than capable to kill the enemy AD carry all by himself.
Oh, it lands.
Goes underneath the tower as well! All of us, the solo kill picked up by the level 5 Leona. The character deals so much damage for a support, man.
It really does, especially with the Ignite. You know, you can just go in, pick up that kill, just constantly keep that pressure up in the bottom lane, and that was off of a pretty aggressive positioning out of Tidebringer and Sim. Does not work out for them, obviously, giving over the kill. It's better that it gets onto the Leona rather than onto the Ezreal, but you're still going to get a lot of lane pressure, and that wave that was just missed half of, at least, for Tidebringer. Sure, the CS isn't a big lead, but you were at least able to get things back to even right here. As 10 minutes into this game, there's a tiny gold lead right here for Lazy, but really it's been very back and forth. The thing is, mid lane right now, 2 kills, 2 solo kills is just massive. That's a...
This could also be massive. Spot's already dead, MKL gets traded back. And Ermin and Loki most likely cannot defeat by a misfortune, as they want more. Daisy's there, but with an ultimate to keep Loki in place, Tidebringer can just run forward, keep denying resources, even gets the blade on the back of it. And while Garden's doing well on the top side of the map, bot lane is starting to slowly but surely fall behind as well.
Really is, and that is now going to be the Sun Sky completed right here for Milkshake. And so this champion becomes incredibly difficult to kill. As is this Squiddly caught again? Surely not.
Has the W. Extra slow added in. So we'll be escaping for now. But Sim providing so much pressure, even Strato coming in on the flank, just making sure that Squiddly has to go underneath the tower. They can keep playing towards the mid lane as well, since Squiddly, with no flash, is a target that can get CC'd and taken down. Just need to wait a little bit for those extra cooldowns to come back up, since Shockwave was used in the earlier skirmish. With the extra grubs coming up fairly soon, that is something that Lazy needs to contest. As I mentioned earlier on, Camille would love to have the 5 of those, already having picked up 2. I think that was why Loki... let's just continue. So that was why Loki was on the top side of the map, to prevent that earlier gank. Yeah, Squiddly not having a fun time here in mid.
No, like, we get it in the theory crafting. Zed should win out against Orianna, but that misplay early on when the Orianna just takes the 6 and you end up giving over that solo kill has just completely flipped the script. If you said that the ability for solo kills could be cut in half early on, what is it at this point? A 1% chance maybe that Squiddly's going to be able to pick up that first kill, and it's just so sad to see. There's going to be a full item onto Pibble basically as soon as he gets the recall off, and is going to be in such a strong position. position, also giving over another kill to the Vi. This has been a great early game so far out of Milkshake. Super impressed. And honestly, I think Milkshake was one of the most impressive junglers we had throughout the regular season. I was continually enjoying watching him play, seeing what he could do, especially on these more aggressive junglers. And sure, this is not the standard at the moment. It's not one of the Brand or the Zyra, but it is something that we've seen from these junglers quite a lot. And when you are up against an Ivan and you have so much freedom, because Ivan really isn't going to fight you in the jungle or, you know, out-gank you particularly, you can see just how much Milkshake's been able to do. We may be seeing another dive in the bot lane. MKO and Ermi need to be so careful.
They can't stay here already for members. Here's the Misfortune ultimate.
Tidebringer's tanking!
Yeah, Tidebringer's tanking, but it doesn't matter. There's no one to damage the Misfortune, and with the teleport interrupted into top side as well, it should be falling shortly. Tower still has the planings up. There goes the Leona, so no way to take it out just yet.
Oh.
Top side, we have a fight in the picture-in-picture where Uzol gets the kill. Loki was still on the top side for the cross-map play, but a huge win coming out for Lazy in life, bottling Tower gone, and a bunch of kills going over to the Orianna. Pibble on his favorite mages proving to us that no need to play AD carries if the enemy mid laner is down in the dirt once again, has to try and escape. Deathmark available, using it to peel for himself, but it's already doomed. Trying to escape. Milkshake with a couple more auto attacks. Wallbreaker should be up fairly soon. There it is. Auto attack to finish it off, and 0-4 is the stat line now for the Guardian mid laner. They are probably quite sad they didn't go for Yasuo.
Absolutely. I mean, right now this has just been a truly terrible game out of Zed. Not necessarily the Squidleys played it that badly, although there have definitely been mistakes, but there's been a real focus around making sure that the Zed just isn't able to access the backline at any real point. We saw the best thing that Squidly was able to do in that fight was just buy time, waste the time of the opposition, because Zed is such a slippery champion, but it still results in his death. And I'd be very interested to see what the individual gold is at the moment, because there's about 4,000 lead for Lazy, but individually, how far behind must Squidly be? Because there's many components for the next item available for Pibble. Also has 9 stacks on a Dark Seal. Could potentially turn that into a Medjay's, although I would worry that would immediately result in Pibble's death, as often it does. But this Orianna is super strong, and the Wombo combo composition, getting a bit of a lead like this, is terrifying. Sure, the Camille right now is very strong, and the split push could be a bit of an issue, but it's not even like these are a lot of solo kills going over onto Strato. Uzor got 1, the next one had to involve Loki though, and Strato is still doing okay at stopping these towers from being taken down, still getting CS, still doing fine. They're down about 30, it's not great out this Cassante, but I think you're going to be okay with the way this has worked out, considering the rest of the map for Lazy.
Now, speaking of the lanes, assignments changed. Pibble's still keeping the mid lane pushed down as far as possible, but putting Squidly on the side lane with a Profile Hydra finish, he's looking to get some more farm, and Tidebringer, way easier of a target to assassinate than the super fed Pibble.
It is so difficult to try to actually kill Pibble right there, because the shields are pretty big at this point, as is the damage, as Sim wants to go in.
They get the wombo combo only onto Ermin. We'll have a HP bars going down and fast shutdowns already onto Milkshake and Sim, as they overcommit, don't get the proper catch, and it just falls apart in a moment's notice. Pibble wasn't there either to provide the shockwave. And Lazy, while they had the great early game, might have felt themselves a little bit too much there. If he got an overcommit, they could fight this shockwave onto Loki. Diver's already down, and it was all dragged away by the all out to the gray screen. Quick 2 kills back for Lazy in life, as the strong members of the team get there. So come the team fight wins as well.
Exactly. You said it perfectly, right? You didn't have Pibble in that initial fight. Pibble, though, is pretty caught out here. One more. There's no true shot barrage. Pibble walks away. Okay. He's going to survive.
Sim managed to heal him up a bit, so I'm not even sure if it would have been enough. Close, but
possibly not. Yeah,
the
very close.
Main thing is that they force Pibble back into base with no teleport. They get a small
bot lane.
And Yeah, it's playing. Yeah, bot lane. Squidly been caught out once again. Milkshake doesn't want to use the ultimate just yet. Before the death mark is gone. There we go. We'll be just escaping since you don't exactly know where the rest of the enemy team is. They were waiting around the blue side jungle, but
Still an ulti gun, right? Squidly now doesn't have the ulti for any potential fights. Loki gonna get caught right here. And this could spell disaster for the Ivan. Losing the jungle would be really bad right now.
yep. As the dragon is coming up in a minute. Long death timer for Loki and Ermin cannot get out of there once he commits to the Zenith Blades. And got him once again on the back foot. The aggressiveness of Lazy in life is so nice to look at. Just never relenting offense, time and time again.
We were talking a couple of the other NLC Div 2 casters about what we thought about a lot of these teams. And I was talking about how Garden Gaming felt like one of those sort of more calm, collected teams. Obviously, this is a little bit of a crazy draft, but the way they play is not a version of Chaos, whereas Lazy feel like they love to play in the Chaos, and you can see it in the aggression they're playing right now. I still think this has been a very well-executed game overall out of Lazy. You can see their over-aggressive tendencies in a couple of situations, but right now they've got themselves the leads when they can play around Pibble. Things are going incredibly well. I think the only thing stopping Lazy at the moment is the Ivan. You know, with both the Moonstone and that Redemption, there is a lot of healing that this Ivan is able to put down, a lot of shields too, and it's making getting these quick catches that much harder. Of course, when the full wombo combo lands, you still have enough damage. Strato, though, may be in a bit of trouble.
Loki gives it an escape route, though. It gets killed as well. Now, Uzol's the one in trouble as teleports are coming in from everyone. Entire Garden Gaming has collapsed to the top side of the map, but the shockwave blows the Zed up instantly. Ermin's the next target for Strato, trying to be the monster that Cassandra is known to be. Simon knocks up MKL. Leona has to be sacrificed. Dulzal still keeping himself alive for now, as the Israel starting to turn things around. Full stack.
Okay.
But Grumpy and the damage gets up as he jumps in. Finally, the Cassandra falls. People running out of mana, so no way for him to continue the fight. MPL only one left alive. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, Tightbringer's been having a party of his own.
Yeah, Justice are murdering these towers right now. I'm not going to get a charge on the Herald again, but okay. Fine. I guess Tidebringer, all of this goes on, absorb a couple of towers, balloon this gold lead further, 8,000 at the moment in the favor of Lazy in life, and you could see the struggles with killing Strato, and I think that's where the lack of AP begins to really hurt. Milkshake needs to run away, just about is going to be able to dodge out. Good. But without any AP damage, look at what Strato is building. Has bought an Iceborne Gauntlet and a Thornmail. This Cassante just doesn't die. You don't even need extra health particularly, although I would be surprised if we don't see a Warmogs getting completed at some point, because you could just sit on AD, not die to basically anybody in this game. The only real threat to you at this point is sitting for long enough in front of MKL with this Trinity Force. But that is going to be pretty tricky to do for MKL consistently in and amongst these big fights, and that's just so much space being bought for Pibble. That's what we were talking about during the draft phase. Can Lazy buy space for their carries? So far the answer has been absolutely yes for Pibble, and Typebringer has only died once and has now completed that eye edge as well, and so it's going to be just blowing up whatever is in front of him.
It really feels like the answer to Lazy is, to the question, can Lazy buy space for their carries? The answer is no need to. The carries buy the space themselves. They've just been having an amazing performance all throughout. Pibble especially. Credit for him. Oh. Are you back? There we go.
Yep.
Technical difficulties. So yeah, Lazy continuing the siege, trying to make Garden hate their life when it comes to defending. Stuck underneath the tower, they don't have too much wave clear. Whenever Zed uses his W for the extra wave clear, there's a chance to go in. Speaking of it, Uzol trying to force Lazy back here in the mid lane, popping the Hexacle to mate him. But that's a big cooldown gone. Now there is no way to lock down either one of the immobile AD carries that still have their flashes up.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also send a True Shot Barrage through as well. Obviously, it's a pretty short cooldown onto that one, but it's still another thing that you are missing. As Squidly missing most of his HP, does survive at least, but that's once again not going to be a useful Zed. Uzol on a run.
To where flashes forward, will be escaping for now, but a smite coming in will get an extra bit of CC, at least for now, but yeah, the Camille won't be surviving. There's just too much damage coming in from the all-out Cassante and the Black Cleaver on Milkshake, providing the armor reduction so the Cassante can easily follow up with the necessary damage to kill.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a disaster so far for Garden Gaming. Luckily, this is going to be a best of 5, of course, so neither of these teams are going to lose off of just this one. But still, as a way to set the tone early on, all 3 of the Drakes, you know, a grub, even though you didn't get all 6, what you were trading for the time spent getting grubs was pretty great. And this much of a dominant lead, I think it's going to have to be a big back to the drawing board, win or lose right here for Garden Gaming, although, of course, it does look a little bit like a loss at this point. They're not completely out of this game. The Camille does still do a lot of damage. Actually has a red scarab in the inventory as well. So Uzol really going to be hanging his hat on this next fight. I think this is actually a pretty good decision overall. Oh, okay. Bye, Loki.
Goodbye. Loki's gone. Ermin might be as well. Zenith Blade to get out of the front line. They go in for some reason. Shockwave right into the 2 divers. Double kill for Tidebringer. MKL's gone. That's gonna be the end of the game, most likely. And gotta go for the Hail Mary, and it just did not work out at all.
At this point, they needed to try something, and it did not work out. Like I said, there was a red scarab in Uzol's inventory. Decided to go in there, popped it. Wasn't going to get another item, just need that little bit of extra damage to try to get something done. It doesn't work out, and this game does end in 25 minutes time. That's very quick for this current meta.
That is incredibly confident game 1 by Lazy in Life. Sticking to the guns, proving to us, what do you mean AD carries? What do you mean hyper carries? We don't need any of those.
Indeed, and something that you asked about early on in the day, Carvis, was will Lazy change their style? And we were talking about if they would, if they wouldn't. Obviously the answer is no, but I think another question was, did they need to? And I was kind of on team, yeah, I think you're going to begin to struggle against better teams. Apparently not. As of right now, looking super, super strong. I think part of that is that these new style of compositions, in the grand scheme of things, haven't been around for that long. 6 months at the maximum, a couple of months really since we've had these ADCs being as high priority as they have been recently. Whereas these compositions that we're saying Lazy in Life play have been around for actual years at this point, and they're so polished on it, they know how to play these so well. And when you have performances like we got with that Orianna, doesn't really matter. I'll be surprised if they're able to take this all the way to the finals, but as of right now, I think Garden Gaming have got some big questions to answer very quickly if they want to progress.
Yep. We will get to see how Garden responds as we head to a small break until we get to game 2.
Shoulders, we're showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. I got fire and passion. Fire and what I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. What I carry on my shoulders, I'm showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. We're showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. I got passion.
And welcome back. We are here after game one. Decisively went to Lazy in live, proving to us that no, mages are still very good if you know how to pilot them and play around them as a team. Turns out, League of Legends is very complicated as a game. Who would have known?
Ugh. Why can't it just be that now we get to say Mage's bad, AD good? But it turns out
Feels bad.
AD good if the AD includes a C, because that Z was not the best time. The Z had a
It had a time.
it had a time. That's a great way of putting it, Carvis. I appreciate you for that one. The early solo kill going down just wrecked any sort of hope that this Z would have had, and I think you're going to have to go to the drawing board, like we've been saying. So let's see it. Let's see what the draft brings, because I want to see 0 Zs on my screen, please.
Yeah, I think Garden made the correct decision in just running it back again and going back to the drawing board. Most likely not going to see a Z this time around, and just play something a little bit more standard that they are used to. I don't remember there being a game where they pulled out the Z in the past. Mostly Squidly has been either on the Corki or some sort of a DPS mage like Azir, for example.
Very interesting as well that Garden Gaming wanted to go back to red side, and they are banning out the exact same things that they did in the last round. If they are going to continue things on exactly, then there should be an Ashe ban right here out of Lazy, and then an Aurora ban out of Garden Gaming. I'd be fascinated that Garden Gaming decided that actually there was nothing wrong with what their opponents picked. They just, you know, they made mistakes, I guess. They know what the strongest bans are, gonna take everything out. It's all exactly the same so far. So let's see what Lazy do, because last game everything was fine. It was going to be the first pick Orianna last game. It got counterpicked. In the last game, and everything was fine. It looks like Squidly's going to go for take 2, and it's going to be a Yone potentially into the mid lane, and that could be a Rumble in the jungle.
Most likely will be going to the jungle. One of the unique teams where Uzal hasn't really played the Rumble at all.
Yeah.
It has mostly been low-key piloting that. Also, did Lazy call Garden clowns hovering the Shaco after the initial same bans? Kind of BM, if I won't lie. But the Cassante gets locked in. They don't really care if this heads into a Rumble matchup. Sure, it'll be a pain in the early game, but once you have the Kennick Raccoon, it's basically a non-interactive lane where Cassante gets to scale freely. Now, thinking about locking in the Rakan, I don't know if they want the Rakan into this team where they need something to peel the Yone away.
Is it a run it back? Is it a straight up run it back right now angle? Surely the next 2 bans that you then take off the board for Garden Gaming is you just slam remove the Vi and the Rakan? But then again, that would mean leaving Opa things like the Viego and the Jinzhao, which potentially are the better versions of the Vi, so I feel like you're stuck in a little bit of a tough place right here as Garden Gaming. Is it a Cassante Gnar matchup? Carvis, whatever will we do?
Who could have seen this coming? The Rumble is actually in the jungle. We never would have known. And neither probably would the enemy team if we... So, yeah, I think this will be support bans galore. No, they thought the Vi was the problem.
How? I disagree, and I think you do too, right? You think that the Jinzhao and the Viego are potentially even better options, and the Vi was just sort of the best of the available pickups. Also, there was a Nocturne hover that we were both pretty okay with being piloted for Milkshake, and I think Milkshake had overall a brilliant game. Super high kill participation was a big part of why people was able to get as many kills as they were. It was also able to save a couple of plays down in the bottom lane where an advantage could have been found for Garden Gaming. I'm not surprised that the Ezreal is going to be taken away right here. The Ezreal matchup was not the best for the MF. It did put a lot of pressure onto her. With the Ashe taken off the board, the only kind of remaining long range make your life hard as an MF pickups that are available is really going to be things like the Jhin and the Kai'Sa. Interesting if either of those are going to be taken off the board. With the Viego and the Vi both gone, I think that means the Xin Zhao is the top of the priority list here for Milkshake.
I think wouldn't Zeri be pretty good here as well?
Could be. It gives you some extra late game as well, which is kind of what Garden Gaming are trying to play around.
Like something really aggressive that can really mess up this misfortune. Like let's say Zeri plus Rel, Zeri plus what? They are saving the AD carry for the last pick. They want to secure the Rel, but can't
ADC counter.
Can't they just go Nautilus here? What's preventing them from going Nautilus?
Very, very little. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Sim just goes back to the Rakan.
Xin Zhao Renata.
That would be crazy. That would stop all of this engage that you've built for yourself right here as Garden Gaming. Renata is one of the best counter-engage champions there is. Just stops you in your tracks. I think, honestly, all of these are good available options. The Xin Zhao pickup, I think Milkshake is going to be more than happy with that one. Had a great game on the Vi. I think the Xin Zhao is going to be a better version of that. So I'll have to see what this final pickup will be. There's plenty of good options. I think unless they slam a, like, Yumi right now, there's no bad potential pickups right here. Okay. I kind of love it. Cubs, I kind of love it. I think this is really cool.
I mean, yeah, there's only short-range characters on the side of Garden, but support Swain into Rel Kai'Sa?
I think this is fine. I really do. I don't think that's going to be that bad. I'm not surprised Kai'Sa's the pickup. It's kind of the last really aggressive ADC that everybody is known for playing. It could have been the Zeri, you are right, but I think the Kai'Sa just gives you a little bit of an easier time in the early game where you can really play around the strengths of your composition. I think both these comps are really interesting. It's, again, pretty out there, out of Garden Gaming. The Yone is better than the Zed. I think the Yone is a much better matchup into the Orianna. She's not going to be able to neutralize it quite as easily as the Zed matchup, although after last game, maybe people will do it again too, but I really, really like what Lazy have drafted for themselves here.
Yeah, the Lazy composition is just... It plays into what they want to play extremely
You can't engage
well.
into that. Don't engage into that, which is really unfortunate when you've got yourself things like a Rel and a Yone who want to engage basically constantly. They've got a great counter to what it is that Garden Gaming want to do.
I think the only way that this Lazy in live composition starts to falter is that they have a bunch of characters that need to stay on pace when it comes to the power spiking in the game itself. If they fall behind, then they really start to fall behind where they can't really get their abilities out, or they don't do enough damage, or can't survive long enough. So Lazy is in the market of an equal lane state for as long as they can, and then play with the Xin Zhao, try to accrue an advantage in a similar way that they did last game, constantly dive the bot side of the map, get the jungle ahead, and play through Milkshake.
Yeah, and Milkshake had such a good performance in the last game. I think it's well on brand for this Lazy composition to just go, hey, Milkshake, carry us through this one. And Xin Zhao's so good at being able to do that too. I think what we need to really focus on, though, is Garden Gaming's composition, because it is so different. The Yone needs some attention, I think. Not necessarily because Yone should lose into the Orianna, but you saw what happened in the last game. Give a little bit of extra over to Squiddly and make sure that we don't see a repeat.
It's just a weird composition
It is
where
weird.
they kind of have buttons, but they kind of don't. As you said, it is going
That's
to
a
be
good way of
really.
putting it.
They need to find the angle to get in. It is very difficult to engage properly onto the lazy composition, and with the rel, with the others, you really need to get the flanks. But seems like we're ready to go into game. Let's check out how the game 2 starts to form. Early on, we had a spicy level 1, which didn't result into anything yet. But there's a chance that if one of the teams feels confident for a 125, when you have characters like the Misfortune, Oriana, Xin Zhao, there could be a way to get a pick off.
Hey, Swain really does
30
like
seconds
getting
until
things
minions
going early on
spawn.
because that initial pullback is super strong. Can make it very difficult to play out these games later on as well, but also play out an early potential engage. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening. This is a very standard 5-point stance out of both of these teams. And we could see a late engage, but to be honest, I would be surprised. This jungle matchup, very, very interesting, because Loki is going to be wanting to farm pretty much entirely, but that, again, buys so much space and time for Milkshake to be able to kind of do what he wants, gank where he wants, potentially invade if he needs to, but just farm up as little as he needs to before getting into these lanes and trying to make an impact, and his lanes have some good setup CC for him. Mid lane a little bit weaker, and Yone always difficult to get on top of, but top lane definitely available for ganks, and bot lane too, and I think bot lane is likely to be that focus, borne out by the fact that Milkshake is starting towards this top side.
A summoner has disconnected.
Up.
And again,
So yeah,
Take two.
assuming a Posca. What I was about to say is that I'm surprised that Pebble allowed Squidley to go and place that ward over the Raptor wall without really punishing the Yoda at all. It just walk over, get information. Hey, I like it. While they didn't really get anything out of it, out of the level 1. No information, no nothing. Sure, it's a Rumble Jungle, won't be the most dangerous thing to not have information of, but it's still nice to have.
you like having this early information, and I think Garden Gaming need it because they did get pushed around so much during the early stages. You know, being able to spot out where the jungle is starting, make sure you're less susceptible to these ganks, I really like that. I just worry a little bit overall for Garden Gaming in that they lost in their individual lane matchups too. Even in the top lane, you know, where there was that solo kill going over, it was off of a over-aggressive play out of Strato where he pushed too far forwards, and then after that, when Strato wasn't making any mistakes, it wasn't like the top lane was getting any massive advantages then. And he doesn't need massive advantages early on, but he can build them for himself and can do pretty well into the Cassante. You know, you kind of beat the Cassante in the straight-up fisticuffs once you have that Mega. When you're in your mini, you can poke out pretty effectively. But if we don't see some good pressure, some, you know, big CS leads forming in this top lane, I'd honestly say that Yuzo hasn't quite done the job that I would really expect out of this Gnar, even beyond the fact that the Gnar then needs to execute in these team fights with a very telegraphed ulti. We've been saying telegraphed quite a lot because there have been a lot of very obvious playmakers, but what's more obvious than a Gnar who literally tells you when he's about to fight?
Yeah. And it's going to be up to the flash timing, so he'll need to play careful enough where if he doesn't just instantly blow up, you just save the flash as much as you can, then play after level 6 for mid lane roams, try to get those skirmishes going, because the Gnar, on Gnar's first item, Power Spike, is just that strong. But we are finally back, and get to head into the laning phase. I still think the Garden composition has tools to play with, but it again comes down to what we were already talking about in draft, where flanks become almost a necessity unless you land the perfect equalizer to keep Lazy in Life in place.
Yeah, exactly. And there are good champions here for flanks. I'm gonna go in, splits Tidebringer and Sim. Tidebringer just gonna be able to walk this one out. I guess you do miss out potentially on a little bit of XP. I don't think any minions even died, leading to that.
What? Ermin?
Min?
I think he thought the minion would die the moment that he flashed, but it had a bunch.
Didn't.
It maybe had a bit of HP left.
Yeah. That's rough. That's really rough. We spoke about how Ermin losing a flash early on in the last game made it a lot easier for Tidebringer and Sim to be able to play this one out, and I think this is likely going to be the same kind of story. See that pullback from Sim landing onto 2 members. Obviously, there's no follow-up at the moment, but may well be indicative of things to come. And we look mid lane, and this is the same story we saw last time. Range versus melee. The melee is always going to have a pretty bad time early on. It should flip at level 6, but that is regarding whether or not a solo kill happens, you know, and you can see Squidly here kind of desperately trying to get some CS, is likely going to lose some of these minions to the tower as well. And there is a little bit of a gap forming, and Squidly just getting poked out so much. Loki, though, is not dead, but does have to blow the flash.
The bot lane having a rough time rotating as well, because the wave is currently frozen to the side of Lazy in live. Fibble as well, already there, secured the priority. So Loki most likely going to lose out on the buff and the bot side Scuttle. If he gets interrupted, it's no, it's getting worse.
So
It's
bad.
getting so much worse.
It's so sad right here for Loki. Losing out onto so much that you would have really liked to be able to pick up. Likely will also lose this double Scuttle. Uzo, though, is going to go for a little bit of a proxy right here. Likely just wants to take this wave, get hit the next one for him, shoved in under the tower so he can go take a reset. Nice little play. And get it off. He's going to be able to pick up that minion. And yeah, looks like he just wants to get this recall play off. Strato is likely to know where Uzo is and isn't going to let him get that recall off. I'd be surprised if he did. Mid lane, though, could be a gank.
Trick's looking for it, just waiting for the possible E dodge from Squidly. Instead, just flashes over the wall. They could look for a clap back onto Milkshake. It's spotted out before he heads into the river itself. Will be able to get the level 4. And with the collapse coming in, teleport, not even spent, just goes into the river. Loki with no flash will be giving up first blood, and Milkshake is once again off to the races.
This is going to be massive issues for Garden Gaming should they lose this game in terms of what junglers do you ban. Because they've left the Vi open, the Vi dominates. They've left the Xin Zhao open, and it's already picked up itself a kill 5 minutes into this game. You're beginning to run out of slots to keep things banned out. And Milkshake, it depends what he can do with this early lead, but already getting a kill onto your opposite number, especially when it's a Rumble. You know, the Rumble does a ton of damage early on, obviously, but it's no match for a Xin Zhao. I mean, you can get Strato involved as well. I'd be very happy with that early game.
Also blocks him. What you mean to say is Rumble used to do a bunch of damage early on.
That's very true.
It got nerfed.
It's a lot less than it was before, isn't it?
It is. Flame Spitter got its damage almost cut in half for the first couple of levels, and then it scales back up to its regular number.
He still does a disgusting amount of damage early on, considering it got cut in half. I'd just like to say, the amount he used to do was insane.
But when you're up against a Xin Zhao, it's not gonna be enough. Xin Zhao is one of the best duelists in the entire game and will ruin your life if you dare to approach him at the wrong opportunity. So yeah, now it's up to Milkshake to figure out how to get this advantage going on the rest of the map.
And they have something potentially to try to play around in the bot lane as Garden Gaming, but you've seen constantly Ermin trying to go forwards. You just saw with the Hex Flash and get something done, but it just doesn't seem to be working out. This is different. Lazy did have all of the Drakes in the previous game, whereas Milkshake gonna pick up 3 grubs right now, and I think you do really like getting the grubs. There's a lot of wave clear potential for Garden Gaming, so the grubs is gonna make trying to play forwards that much easier. And it is going to be the trade for the Drake going over to Garden Gaming. Now, that does extend this game later on, and I think getting into the late game would overall be pretty good for Garden Gaming. And they're not going to be mad about having picked up this Drake at all. But, you know, I just think Lazy, they're being a little bit more proactive. Even though there's only 1 kill so far, and the gold is negligible in terms of the lead. It just feels like Lazy have been, you know, in control a bit, although they are potentially looking at a gank right now onto Pibble, although they are playing very far back, very respectfully.
That's the flash, but it's not enough. Too much CC. The Orianna just instantly taken down. Good execution. Even if the stun misses, it's not necessary. Fully owned combo already deals so much damage. You just need to follow up with a single CC afterwards.
And the fact that, you know, I was saying Quibble's playing pretty respectfully, pretty far back, and he was, but it doesn't matter. The amount of damage coming through is really good, and I love that. I love how many members were involved in that play as well. Don't give the Orianna any chance to escape. Just gets melted through, but while all of that is happening, Tiebreaker, Tidebringer is going to be able to get a second turret play into the inventory, continue to expand this lead over the bot lane, and Kai'Sa is one of those champions where you love getting early aggressive plays off. Ermin and MKL, they just haven't found them so far, and Tiebringer's been perfectly happy just absorbing the CS, getting what needs to be done. I think part of that is the Swain, just being so good at dissuading any of these very aggressive players out of Ermin, just because it's so difficult to try to play against, you know, that grasping, that Death's Hand is... It's so crazy to try to play against, because getting pulled back, not just stunned, but pulled back, means you can be massively out of position, and Rel struggles from that anyway.
Okay.
They're fine, okay. Rel struggles from the fact that once you're in, you're kind of in these fights, and so it makes it even harder to try to get away.
Yeah. We're gonna have to see how they approach the fights. Dragon up in 3 minutes, so still a bunch of time to look for picks and get your jungle clears going. Milkshake actually, that's a second red buff that did he steal away Loki's red buff earlier on? I don't remember. Anyway, it's not that far ahead, but with the initial kill, we'll be getting a nice power spike into the first dragon fight. That is a very scary bush, but Ermin might face check into danger here. The bot lane just got shoved in, and he's approaching at a horrible angle, caught out, rooted, trying to get the rail aftershock proc, providing that extra resistance, but it doesn't matter. No flash and no life left.
No, and it looked like it was a scary brush for Lazy. No. Garden Gaming are the ones who should be scared of the foliage. And that is going to be even more plays going over to Tidebringer right here. Can push in this wave. There's no way that MKL can step up to this wave at all, especially not with Milkshake waiting in the wings. You're going to get Loki arrive to this play to at least force the bases off of Tidebringer and Sim at this point. But you're going to be so happy with that one. That was what you can do with a triple longsword in the inventory. Squidly going in, but Pibble doesn't really care. Unless you bring other friends, Pibble is more than happy to play this one through. Loki is in the area, but so is Milkshake. How did I not manage to base? Uh-oh.
No, didn't. Has to stay there to clear the cannon wave as well, I think. Or he might sack it. I'm not a big fan of it, but that's a thing that he can do. Rel will get a chance to roam here and look for any playmaking opportunities over at the mid lane. Still no teleport for Pibble, so might have to stay around with quite low HP. Loki is also going for invade. Are they trying to set something up here that finds Milkshake clearing his grub? But is that a fight you can take? A bunch of damage from the overheated auto attacks. Here's Squidly. Solo kill over to the jungler as Uzol, and Squidly just can't reach the Xin
He just walks out. Oh, and Uzol has to flash on the back end of that play as well, because he really did not want to get caught out by that Vision of Empire. Otherwise, that could well have been another kill going over to Lazy. And that's the thing. Yeah, the Rumble does some decent damage, but Milkshake just does more. Now has that Sundered Sky completed, and this item is so strong. I don't know how it hasn't been nerfed or changed around recently. It just gives you so much healing for these skirmish-heavy champions.
Oh, speaking of skirmishes, here we go again. Uzol has the Mega. Narsim pops an ultimate, and this will stay up for a long time. Equalizer, they get dragged out of it. Huge AoE from Lazy in life. Trying to focus the Swain down.
Sim lives.
The wall. Sim lives, and now Loki once again in huge trouble. Squidly stayed around to see if he could get anything done. Instead, slowed by the Swain W, has to retreat away. Huge turnaround from Lazy in life.
And look what ends up happening in the bot lane as the cross map. Nothing. Absolutely nothing goes right for Garden Gaming. They don't pick up anything at all. 6 scrubs go over to Lazy. We can see the individual gold leads are massive in some of the lanes. This jungle especially is a canyon. And I mean, the way that Milkshake's playing so good, but I also love Sim in that fight. Walks up, pops that demonic ascension, and just sits there in the middle of everybody. Has to flash out eventually, but has just done so much damage, applied so much annoyance to the opposition that by the time they flash out, you're able to get in with Milkshake, get in with Pibble, get all of those kills going on. You don't even have Tidebringer in and amongst this fight, and so one of the extra key components of this wombo combo is missing. Lazy, they've just taken firm control of this game, 2,000 gold in the lead. There is a Drake up, they did give the first one over, so I don't think they're going to really want to give this next one down. And Milkshake is in the area along with most of the others. Strato does have a teleport.
Trying to pop Milkshake, falls in the crescent.
He goes in?
Flash,
Okay.
very confident there. Why are you going? MKL has to easily flash away, diving into the enemy team. On the backlines, Ermin gives Milkshake another Sundered Sky Pro, keeps the jungler alive. Garden Gaming just overcommit once again, losing 2 members of the team. They are glad to not have lost any more off of that sort of fight. The Dragon as well, going over to Lazy. Milkshake has to thank his guardian angel, that is the rest of his team, that he's still alive after that sort of a play.
Oh, I mean, I get it. The Jinzhao's strong. You got 4 kills, well, a couple less at that point in the game, and you've got yourself a Sundered Sky. It was definitely over-aggressive. I love the proccing the wind becomes lightning to jump in, and then immediately jumping straight back out with the flash, and then realizing actually it's all fine because something overcame MKL that meant they just walked in, wandered up, and yeah, that's not going to be good. Pibble is going to get jumped right here and taken down. That is at least a good kill going back over, well executed on that play out of the bot lane from Garden Gaming. But it is a small consolation prize in what is turning into a repeat of the game before. 4,000 gold in the lead at the moment are Lazy in life. And we're only 14 minutes into this game.
Aggression, aggression, aggression. So far, the name of the series, as Garden still at least somewhat doing well in the AD carry and mid lane positions. I think when Squidly is starting to get the second item and level 11 already there, will be a menace if he gets to play his own game. That is a big if though. There's a bunch of peel on the side of Lazy where Strato can call out an incoming Yone. You can even peel him away the Crescent Guard from the Xinjiao. Just a ton of freedom for Lazy to pick their fights.
I think that's a really great way of putting it. Lazy, they don't need to be forced into fights they don't want to take. So far, they have been up for basically all of the available fights. Are going to drop this Herald into the mid lane, plus the 6 grubs means this tower will go down right here. And Milkshake now tries to go in onto Ermin, has to jump away. And a second charge of the Rift Herald is incoming. Not going to be able to get it off as well, so that's big value right here out of this Rift Herald. Lazy continue to extend their gold lead. Now with that mid lane tier 1 tower taken down, they've got so much more access into the opposition jungle. And Loki might be caught out here.
Yeah, looking for it, but on the flank, Squindly finds the enemy jungler. Fate sealed onto the Swain. It's not tanky yet. Falls apart as the focus. Killer Instinct Tidebringer the target. Standing there. But the Shockwave onto 3. Will be getting a double kill. Squidly now in full retreat. Again, keeps himself alive, but every single time when it looks good for Garden Gaming, Pibble shows up out of nowhere and ruins everything.
Is this thing on? Ban Orianna. Please.
But there's
There's so
many
much to ban.
champions.
So much to ban, but this is 2 games in a row where these shockwaves have been disgusting. And this wasn't even Pibble with multiple solo kills into the mid lane. In fact, Squidly hasn't even died in this game, but it doesn't matter when your Orianna is so good at landing these ulting. Pibble is able to land these shockwaves pretty consistently, and they are game-breaking right now. Think about that fight again when Sim's got a little bit more tankiness on his side. Maybe got the Rylai's completed too. That's going to be a very different fight indeed. Still, the gold lead hasn't expanded for Lazy, and that's very important for Garden. It's been nice that they've been able to get a couple of counter plays onto the potentially over-aggressive plays out of Garden Gaming, and that's a key flash to be missing right here. I don't know if Pibble actually would have died to a solo kill from Uzo, but obviously didn't know what else was in that bush.
And that's a Trinity Force Gnar. I wouldn't play around either.
No.
Uzo teleport away?
He Yeah,
I think he teleported back into
he did.
base.
He did
Thought there
teleport
was
back
a-
to base.
I think there was he thought there's a collapse going and wanted
Yeah.
to get out guaranteed, so ends up
That's a
channeling the
big
teleport.
teleport advantage now for Lazy, though.
I think it makes sense. They committed 3 members to taking down the topside tower and like putting pressure there. So obviously the idea is that Garden would be making the play on the bot side of the map like this.
Ooh,
They
boy.
catch out the Nova without the Mega. Loki is not there. And now the inner tower is just gone at a flash. 6 grubs tends to do that, and now they can get resets, start rotating over, and play towards the top side of the map.
Easy. 30 seconds until this next Drake is going to be a Hex check. Hex check Soul is one of the best ones if you can pick it up for yourself. Milkshake going in here. Loki just getting melted. If they die, this Drake is easily going over.
Equalizer spent, but nobody's dying. Milkshake's still alive, and there's just no damage coming in. Quickly Fate Seal will be dodged away by Milkshake. One less Q will give the kill over. Big shutdown for the Yone.
Yeah, that is a really big shutdown to Squidly. Could potentially use that to try to turn this game around. 2-0-1 has played a lot better than in the previous game, where the Zed really did not look like it. But Loki still does die, as does Ermin. So the Hextech Drake is going to go over nice and easily to Lazy. Still not going to be sole point for them. The Drakes aren't really the focus of this game. I think more important is the fact that in 1 minute time we are going to be getting the Baron, and Lazy are in a very good position to be able to take that one pretty quickly too. And it's interesting because both of these teams have pretty heavily teamfight orientated compositions. And it's kind of about who lands that first bit of big CC, right? Is it going to be a big magnet storm into that Fate Sealed, or do we get a shockwave into, I don't know, whatever else, maybe the bullet time out of MF? And perhaps a part of that too is, sure, Ermin can bring everybody in CC, but so can Pibble, and Pibbles does a lot more damage.
Oh, Milkshake once again, feeling confident, just chunks Loki down.
Just
Doesn't-
walking up.
With no mid laner there, they end up just retreating, collecting the resources that they deserve, and then start clearing out the vision around the Baron area. 20 minutes is almost on the clock. We'll have the purple worm show up inside his pit. While Baron is, of course, the greatest objective to have ever existed, it is a risk to start up this early when you don't really have a consistent damage output that melts it down.
Absolutely, they're going to need to win a team fight right now for Lazy, or find a great angle where there's just nobody from Garden Gaming in the area. For the minute, they're going to be contented with just picking up this top lane outer tower. And now it's going to be all about the setup for this Baron. Right now, there's a lot of vision available for Lazy. They're going to be very happy with the amount of vision they've got set up. Garden Gaming are going to have to take a reset. No wards available onto Ermin means that there's no real way to stop. Oh no. Oh no, Loki.
Loki's been caught out. Equalizer popped, will be peeling away at least a little bit, but he has no movement speed. Instead, DP is racing the Xin Zhao with the overheated auto attacks. There is a possibility of killer instinct if MKL is feeling confident. With Ermin not by his side, they flash forward, they go for the kill, shut down to the Kai'Sa. Now they run away from the rest of Lazy in Life that are collapsing in. That's a worthwhile kill trade though. Big chunk of gold from Mikkel. But still no way to really defend against the incoming push. Squidly though, now limit testing against the Orianna. Just straight up solo kills. No way for the Orianna to contest against 2-item Yone anymore.
Well, that's for last game, says Squidly. Gonna be happy to pick that one up. And that means that this Yone is now a massive problem on side lanes. As all of those kills are going down, the lack of deaths onto Squidly, he's been creeping up as a bit of a problem. And now 2 completed items. So strong. Sits on the side lane, kills one of the strongest members of the team right now for Lazy, and now you have to send a couple people to go deal with the Yone, or you're just going to start melting out towers. Felt like people just couldn't do anything, didn't have the flash available, didn't even try to use the shockwave though, was likely expecting it to be dodged away from, and all of this control that Lazy felt like they had over this game, despite the fact they're still 10 full kills up, and another 5,000 gold ahead, feels a little bit more tentative at the moment. Once Squidly rejoins for a team fight rather than just split pushing, this could be a bit of a different story. It kind of all depends on who's able to get their big combo off first. And Tidebringer, we haven't really spoken too much about this MF in this game so far, but has got 2 completed items, has not died either, and does a hell of a lot of damage with that bullet time.
Yep. Also something that we haven't brought up. Is there a Zeke's convergence on Stratos' inventory?
Of course it is. You want to slow people with your ult, right?
I mean, I guess it's also a fairly cheap item, but I rarely see Casante's opt for this sort of build.
You see it a lot more on the engaged supports, but you know, that 6 seconds that you get of slowing people around you is pretty huge. It just is a bit odd off of a Casante, I guess, because you likely are going to pull the person away, and then you're using your ulti away from everybody else, right? You'd rather be slowing all of the team rather than just the person you're 1v1ing. At the same time, though, if you do pull Uzo or Loki or Squidly away, it does mean that they're going to be less likely to be able to get away from you, and that means that you can keep them away from the rest of the team fight for that much longer. And it's cheap. I think more than anything, it's really cheap. And sure, Stratos had a good game, but isn't head in terms of the kills and gold, really. And so a cheap item that you can have completed to keep up with the 2 items everybody else has in their inventory, I really like this pickup.
We'll get to see how it performs in the silent lane if it will ever overextend. Meanwhile, Lazy's been kind of stuck. They're channeling the teleport. They want to go in on this garden now. Fully retreating. Rella sadly quite slow once you expend the first hop. And if they so wish, without the main engage, they can indeed go for the Baron. Squidly and Loki, though, they have the enemies grouped up inside the Baron pit. A nice equalizer could instantly turn things around. And the Mega Gnar has been popped. Uzal has his flash. The equalizer doesn't deal too much damage. Now, halfway done with the bar, they need to find a key target before it runs out. Uzal can't find anyone. He's given it's unstoppable. Whoa, that's a lot of damage on the milkshake, though. Just
okay,
gets instantly popped and dead. Squidly's just doing work, and Lazy can't fight back. They're getting outraged and outgunned. Now they find the Yone in the back lines, but sacrificing their own support for it. Still a man up for Garden.
Ermin's back.
Ermin's back, gets the Magnet Storm and double engage, and the Misfortune can't escape. Gnar picks up the last kill, and Garden Gaming, off of one mistake from Lazy Life, are starting to turn things around.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pick up the Baron here uncontested, and that fight was all about Squidly. Sure, got a little bit over-aggressive right towards the end, but was just running the back lane around. Sure, so Milkshake is the strongest member right now of Lazy, and they just couldn't find that fight. Got taken out pretty much in one shot by Squidly, and you just lose so much of your damage, so much of the proactivity, and any threat that you had onto the Baron with it. Of course, there is going to be a turnaround straight onto the Drake right now, although with the Hextech gates up, Garden Gaming are going to get here pretty quickly. Don't know if it's going to be fast enough to take away this Drake, but if they wanted another fight, could potentially go for it. I think instead it is just going to be an easy enough pickup of the Hextech Drake for Lazy. That puts them onto Soul Point. Like you said, it feels like this game is all of a sudden kind of in control of Garden Gaming. They're still down by 2,000 gold, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, and now that they have the Baron, they're going to get even more as the towers are starting to fall. That's, I think, the main differential between the two teams, how much of that global gold Lazy in life has gotten throughout the game. And yeah, I think the point that you brought up earlier on, where you said whether Garden can find a magnet or Lazy can find a shockwave is the deal maker when it comes to team fights. One of those is way easier to find, though.
Yes. Yes, it is. The Rel can just go in, and it's been 7 deaths right here for Ermin, and I think, if anything, that just shows you how much they've been looking to find these plays. Strata takes a decent amount of damage, isn't going to get taken out, though, as Uzo is on the run. Obviously, Nina are pretty tricky to get on top of. This just wasting time of Milkshake and Pibble.
Not only that, kiting very well. With Strata there, though, should be dying eventually all out and shut down. But they're losing their base with the Yone diving in. Tidebringer is gone. The main damage dealer resting for 40 seconds. Lazy in life are starting to fall behind.
That's a lot of pings.
Do they want to fight
for this? Really?
There are no cooldowns on God. So
yes, it is a good opportunity.
if they can reach them, they may be able to pick up this fight, but Milkshake has no ultimate either, so all this poke that he's taking will stick. Slow onto Loki, but they just can't get the movement speed nor the dashes necessary to catch up with the retreating red side team. Clean takeaway from the top side of the map. They only lose their top laner for it. And now, for the first time in ages, they are equal in gold.
Yeah, it hasn't been equal in gold. It feels like from the very first moment of this game, this next Drake is going to be critical, because getting a Hextech Drake that slows through a team, the extra damage that it gives you is huge. That would really help Lazy out. And there are also a couple of key items incoming that will change up these next fights, such as the 2 needlessly large rods sat in people's inventory, such as the now fully completed 3rd item on both Strato and onto Milkshake. And sure, you know, there's our 4th item incoming too for Tidebringer. So there's a lot of damage, a lot of ability to win these team fights on Lazy. They just need to find the right team fight. It feels like they've taken a lot of the wrong team fights recently, and part of that is Uzol. There's a lot of damage onto Squidly, of course there is, but Uzol's kiting has been really effective so far, and with both the Black Cleaver and that Trinity Force, does a ridiculous amount of damage on this mini-Gnar form, and it's making it very tricky for Milkshake to jump into these fights. If they can find that one big fight, though, this composition out of Lazy can just shred. You're kind of waiting on Tidebringer finding a good ult, something that hasn't happened in a lot of these fights recently.
Also, Ghost down from Straton. We saw that earlier. Was looking for maybe a play onto Uzor, but the Gnar is just so difficult to deal with when it comes to those 1 versus 1 side lane fights. They're looking for him, spotted out by something. Not sure how they figured that one out, but with the Swain W,
okay,
top lane's gone once again. But on the cross map, Garden is there already setting up. It could be a space race coming, but I think Garden is ready for it. We're already starting up the recalls, and it's only the Orianna here to defend. Tidebringer and Milkshake
got back.
Oh, and it's, Tidebringer and Milkshake still pushing. Squidly with the Fate Seal will get the pick off. Popping the Seeker's arm guard, but it won't save his life. Now Sim and Strato stuck in a 2-on-3. Picture. Inhibitor's already gone down. Squidly channels the teleport to defend his base, but now in the 2v2, Lazy may come out ahead. Swain and Cassante versus Rumble definitely favors the blue team. Picture, you see another team fight pop up as all the ultimates have been expended. Teleport on the flanks. Uzol has respawned, and they are chasing down Tidebringer. Does have a lot of movement speed from them. It's Fortune passive, but Yone there, they can't keep the fight going unless Strato wants to. No ultimate, so it's a bit risky. But
oh my lord.
Hectic fight across the map.
Hey, big ups production, because that was a lot to follow just then, and the action just does not stop because the Hextech Drake has now spawned.
Strato half HP will be struggling to frontline for any upcoming fights. And I think Mikkel has finished the Nashor's Tooth, so now the W's are coming empowered and at low cooldown.
Boy, so much action. The mid lane inhibitor going down does just mean there's constant pressure onto Garden Gaming's base. Looks like, yeah, they are just going to step up onto this Hextech Drake. Lazy, they look like they want to still fight onto this one. There had to come be a reset out of Strato. He's not going to be here for a bit.
Just gonna give over the
Oh,
Hextech
Squidly,
Drake.
no!
Squidly's gone too far up, losing so much health. Now is the time for Lazy to go in, if ever. Equalizer onto 3, forcing them back, but have to sacrifice the support.
Baron!
For their sins. Baron is most likely the goal for Lazy here. Sim needs to be careful. Mikkel's going to keep on throwing out these Void Seekers and poking everyone down. Squidly does not have the teleport, ended up just running back to base. Will be a whole bunch of time for Lazy to get this one down. The inhibitor forced the minions, so if Lazy don't come out ahead here, it is going to spell trouble. Baron 2k health, popping the bullet time just to zone everyone away. Goes over the wall, Stratos the target, unstoppable, does not prevent you from death. And
Can they
one
base?
kill is now already gone. They're trying to look for somewhere to recall at. Goes over with the Void Seeker, 2-on-2 on both sides, but Uzol, nice ultimate on the 2. Milkshake still alive. Tidebringer actually picks up one. Ridley can't interrupt the recall. Tidebringer makes it back to base, and now
Really,
in a
Milkshake?
1 versus 2, Milkshake healing himself, just takes down the Gnaw, defending the Baron buff. Now he doesn't know what he's
What is
going
he
for, but
doing?
he's getting the double kill. Did not even know there are 2 more members there, but he does not care and comes out with 2 kills. Only Tidebringer has the Baron left, but 1 is enough if they want to get the push going.
Elvis. WT, you can fill in the blank. This game is crazy. The last 7 minutes, I've said like 4 words, and they've all been interjections because there's just been fight after fight after fight, and this is pushing both of these teams to the absolute brink right now. The fact that top lane inhibitor goes down to a normal minion wave because nobody's able to get back to base to actually deal with it is crazy. And at this point, after all of this craziness, the Soul does not go over to Lazy, and they do get away with a couple of Barons. The gold lead back in Lazy's favor, but only by a little bit, and it feels like Lazy have managed to stabilize in this game a bit, but they are reliant on some crazy outplays out of Milkshake, and hoping and praying that Squiggly doesn't get into the backline. Because this game has just been back and forth, back and forth. I think it's going to come down to 1, maybe 2 more big fights.
Equalizer, Milkshake has to pop the ultimate already. Only 1 gets shockwave. Also in the backline. Fate sealed on 2. They got both of the carries. Garden Gaming fight the fight. Only frontline left, and they go down to damage. Double kill for Kai'Sa, and that's most likely game over. They get the comeback. Garden Gaming somehow, someway scale up, and Squidly is redeeming himself in a big way.
Yeah, Squidly had a bad game 1, but 10-1-8 is a heck of a way to put that behind you. Show that you are one of the best mid laners we've got in this tournament right now. They push on into the base. Garden Gaming gonna pick this game up nice and, I'm not gonna say easily, but nice and funly, let's say instead. This is a series, Carvis.
Happy games. We have a series, and hopefully they keep playing out like this. Yeah. Incredible composure from the Garden Gaming team as they mount a comeback against Milkshake's incredibly fed Xin Zhao. But eventually, it just feels like the Yone, once it got to 2 or 3 items, started taking over the map, and Lazy didn't really have any response to it.
No, the Yone kept getting away from a lot of these big scrappy fights where a lot of deaths were happening on Garden Gaming, but Squidly wasn't dying. Squidly was constantly able to just keep farming, keep getting these, not necessarily kills, but quite a lot of assists early on, and then eventually, like you said, the 2 items come through, and this Yone becomes a bit of a problem, and I think the real turning point, although there were quite a lot of moments where it felt like it was slipping away from Lazy, was bot lane where Squidly just 1v1s out to the Orianna, picks up that kill super easily, and then all of a sudden, you have to respect this Yone in the side lanes, in these big team fights, and it was super back and forth, but finding that final fate sealed as well, I think it's the nail in the coffin of putting the, hey, what on earth was game 1 allegations behind him, you know? It was bad game 1, game 2 was excellent, and if you can even take a middle-of-the-road performance in this next game, I think there's a good chance for Garden Gaming to come back out on top. Absolutely wild, Carvis. I mean, I don't know how you're still breathing after all of that, because it was just fights for like 10 minutes straight.
Yep. We're gonna have a small break to fill up our water bottles. Make sure to hydrate. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Game 3.
What I carry on my shoulders, I'm showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. What I carry on my shoulders, I'm showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. Fire passion. I got fire passion. Fire What I carry on my shoulders, I'm showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. No. stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. Fire passion. I got fire passion. Fire passion. What I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. No.
Off of a great comeback comes game 3 as Garden Gaming even it up, and we're gonna have probably our first change of plans when Lazy in Life head to the red side.
Yeah, I mean, are the bans all going to stay the same? I'd be very surprised if they are. In the previous two games, we've had everything exactly the same as the early on bans and an Orianna first pick, obviously. Now, you can't do that as Lazy. Do they just continue to take this Orianna? Because it has still looked really strong, even in the previous game. I do think that with all of the immobile carries, the Yone made a lot more sense. It really could get onto the back line. I think it was a pretty decent counter draft that we did see right there out of Garden Gaming. And honestly, if you'd have asked me about predicting the second game after what we saw in the first, I'd be all in on Lazy. But now I'm a lot more reticent to actually say who I think is going to win this one out, because that previous game was so messy, so back and forth. Both of these teams feel like they've got a lot of momentum, honestly, going into the next one. Even Lazy, who obviously lost the previous one, they had so much good stuff in that game that they can take away and build upon.
And I think the most interesting part of this upcoming draft is going to be what happens to Aurora. Because previously it's been banned by Red side from Garden Gaming both of these times. On the blue side, are they going to keep it going like that? Let's see. Because I think we're going to have a change of plans in draft, whether that be leaving, for example, the core key open, or even the Aurora open. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you do leave the Aurora open, surely it's just slam picked right here. It's not quite as strong as it was previously, but it's still kind of gross with how strong it is, and it's so difficult to get on top of. If you thought chasing a Zed around was horrible, get an Aurora who is invisible and jumping about, and yeah, it's no fun to try to play against. Right now, though, everything is exactly the same. If things continue out like that, it will be a Corky ban, an Ash for Lazy, potentially, and then an Aurora out of...
Okay.
Are we...
So they
Do
just
they?
don't play it. It confirms that they don't play it.
Ash left open, though.
I don't think the Ash is that big of a problem. The Yone is
It's not
definitely going to
first
be a problem if they want to keep picking up those mages. Then looks like Godin is just going to say, "Hey, you've been banning this. Let's try it. Maybe it works."
The Ash makes any bot lane very difficult to play because there are so many hard engaged supports. All of a sudden, up against an Ash, if you go in, you better be sure that you're picking up that kill. If you don't immediately pick up that kill, you're not getting back out. Absolutely not. It's even worse if it's a Rel because she's already bad at getting back out of places that she's gotten into. But anything can be pretty tricky to play up against. The Ezreal out of Lazy, I mean, it's been fine in all of the games we've seen recently. It's been pretty strong overall, and it can work pretty dang well into the Ashe, especially because Ashe and whatever you pair it with is unlikely to try to solo kill onto Tidebringer, so maybe Sim can try to roam around. We did see the Vi in game 1, and we are going to see it here again. It feels like Lazy kind of know what they like and just keep going with it.
You know what I'd love here? Just hard slam Tom Kench.
Yeah.
Because Ezreal doesn't like playing against that character in lane because it out DPSs him and kind of can block just all of the skill shots, and you can't really pick a hard engaged support into that lane matchup either. And then you have a get out of jail free card for the Vi as well. So Cassante, of course, getting locked in. This is actually a pick away from Strato, so Uzal gets to play the tank matchup this time. As they think about what they want to go for, do they lock in the jungle here? They see the Vi matchup. Yeah, they just go for the Rumble.
Okay. And the Rumble was fine in the last game. It got bullied around early on by the Xin Zhao, as a Xin Zhao will do. But once we got into the later stages of the game, there were some pretty good equalizers that really split the fights for Lazy. Lazy wasn't able to sit and wombo combo like they wanted to, because there was always a Rumble ult right on top of their heads. I'd be pretty surprised to see Strato now being the one to pilot this Camille. The Camille didn't go great in game 1. We saw it up against the Cassante where, sure, the Camille gets early kill, but doesn't really pop off in the same way. But Lazy have been a lot better at getting themselves early leads than GG in this game, and so maybe they're going to be able to get a ton onto this Camille early on, really make it work. And no, I don't necessarily dislike this early pickup. You do now need some pretty heavy AP, and you know, Pibble's favourite pick is still available. Will Garden Gaming get rid of the Orianna? Yes. Okay, no need to speculate. Yes.
So, what else do you get rid of here? Do you get rid of the Azir, maybe? What else is there?
Victor? Syndra? They're
Pibble
all fine.
Pibble plays a lot of Ahri, but I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of Ahri into the Garden Gaming team composition. While it does pair really well with the Vi. Ahri in this current meta...
You're so single target if you do that.
What else is there? They could go for... I guess Talia is also an option. The Garden Gaming composition will most likely be running at you. They are currently fairly low range. It gives you a secondary poke champion to play with the Ezreal. With pairs again really well with the Vi. I'm struggling to find a champion that doesn't pair well with the Vi, but
Vi's pretty good at pairing with almost everything. This would, I mean, it
flex.
gives you a decent amount of AP. Like you said, it is a flex, which you do like on the red side. Either Pibble or Sim can pilot this one pretty easily. I would quite like it alongside the Ezreal, to be honest. That's a lot of poke that could make an Ashe very uncomfortable, but relying on it as your sole AP focus is risky. There is obviously a lot of damage on this team composition already, but you would be lacking another big tank, and that makes playing team fights incredibly difficult, so we'll see what Lazy does with this. Right now, Garden Gaming, they are still in need of a support, and likely a mid laner, although I guess you can move things around right now. The Nautilus, it's standard, it's good. There's very few situations in which Nautilus is the wrong pick in a composition.
I'm trying. What do you pick here? Victor would be the standard lane bully, but this would fall prey to something like an
So much
Akali.
AP.
Akali would be really annoying if this Victor gets locked in. What else is there? Hui could also be an option against the incoming Vi. It also kind of matches the range of Ezreal and Karma in some ways, but they lock in the Victor now. The question is, does Pibble default to a... What? Okay, I'm a fan. That's not Ari. That's not... Oh, that's a mage. That is a mage. It does... Hey, we found a character that doesn't pair well with Vi in there. Like... Okay.
What? So.
We are scaling into the mid game.
Yeah. They found something that outscales the Victor. Victor, usually when you pick it into the mid lane, you're probably outscaling your opposition unless they've got some crazy levels of late game scaling. Yeah, this has some crazy levels of late game scaling, and so it's a very interesting situation right here for Milkshake more than anyone, because which lanes are you going for? Where are you headed? Because, I mean, top lane, surely. Mid lane is out of the question. Bot lane would be very tricky to try to get on top of a lot.
I have to disagree. Mid lane is not out of the question.
Okay.
Kassadin is a little bit different than what he used to be 7 years ago. He's not the type of character where you hit level 16 and automatically win like Kayle is anymore. Kassadin actually, in the mid game, is surprisingly strong. His real power spike is at the level 11-ish mark, and from there on, he gets stronger and stronger until in the later stages of the game, he just kind of gets one tap since the melee mage that. Unless you are snowballing out of control, of course, that's entirely different. But if around the level 6 mark, Vi finds an angle to go mid, you're going to have a roaming death squad on the map looking for any jungler, any mid laner or support that is out of position and trying to snowball this Kassadin out of control. The issue comes into play where the Vi has to survive the early game now with no mid lane prio whatsoever.
No.
And Rumble's one of those characters that can abuse this.
Yeah, it really can. The Rumble could end up being a massive problem, and I mean, what crazy drafts we've had throughout this whole series. Let's jump on into this game. It's game 3, and I mean, what on earth are these drafts once again? If you came here for crazy picks, we are certainly getting them.
And Lazy, well, we know them from their relentless aggression for the past 2 games. This is surprisingly defensive.
Yeah.
Like, they are... If we're looking at chess terms, they have the pawn fortress and they've castled kingside. They are incredibly well fortified when it comes to the mid game. They play at a range, but they still have the tools to fight with. Unless Sim face checks this rush, has to flash away. But here come the rest of Lazy in life. Mikkel and Loki are the ones getting taken down low. But the initial win goes to Garden as they get the support flash.
I feel like Sim's not had a good time for the early games recently, and yeah, that's going to continue on right here. Losing out that flash on the Karma does kind of suck, because a Nautilus and an Ashe can get on top of you very quickly, make it very difficult for you to try to get away as well. And as much as Karma Ezreal is a poke lane of dreams, if you don't have that flash, you are pretty susceptible to the hard engage, especially come that level 3 mark. So we'll have to see if Garden Gaming's bot lane can punish that effectively, or if Lazy are going to be able to weather that storm. We are going to see the junglers start both on opposite sides of the map, both on their blue buffs. Milkshake working towards the top lane. I'm not surprised by this at all. I think trying to gank early on, get this Cassante behind, get this Camille rolling is absolutely right. I do like what you said about potentially trying to gank onto the mid lane. I just worry about the setup. The Castin really doesn't provide that much in terms of setup for a gank. As much as Vi can do it herself, it is tricky pre-level 6.
Hermie takes a lot of damage on that trade, lost his hook, hit a minion on accident. And yeah, even with this Karma having no flash, it's going to be a rough time punishing it. They need to find some sort of a miracle trade. Even if they get the hook onto Sim, Mantra W will heal most of that damage right back up, so they're not worried, at least for now. It's going to be up to Loki to find some sort of an angle.
Yeah, absolutely there. Have to find, some way to get involved, and we haven't really seen that out of Loki early on in these games. I think for the previous 2 games, Loki has been pretty absent from a lot of the early stages, has found footing later on in game number 2, but has been definitely outganked by Milkshake, and if Milkshake can continue that on, the Vi is, again, like we saw in game 1, a very good champion to be able to do that with. Early base actually out of Strato, managed to get that full shove going on. Just gonna head back to base. Got a full longsword and a control ward. I like that.
I'm genuinely surprised that Squidly didn't opt for first strike in this game. Just because he would get so much money from poking down Pebble. Showing them there's the Q, but your skills are faster than the Cassadin Q. You should be able to proc it pretty consistently. And the Airy being magic damage is not going to poke down the Cassadin too hard. It still hasn't even expended potion, and it's actually ahead in CS in mid.
Yeah, and has been just chilling right now, and you are right, the first strike would be helping quite a lot here. The Sun Airy obviously does give you a little bit on the poke, but not helping out monetarily, as bot lane do get a kind of gank out of Loki. Tidebringer is caught, has to...
Ignite.
Yeah, has to jump away. Oh, okay.
Speaking of the ganks in mid, by the way, Squidly, having to burn his flash, was afraid that Milkshake would come in with a flash wall breaker of his own. They've caught Sim. Here's Loki, but they can't reach it to flash in. They want to get the kill over to MKL. First blood secured by Garden Gaming, but top side, Uzal popping the ghost, and we have a pause.
Hopefully nobody's PC has exploded this time around. No, indeed, we are going to jump straight back in. Just a quick little reminder of what our faces look like. Surprised, probably, about the previous game. Nice flash out of Strato, and Uzol will fall. To who is the only question. Milkshake picks that kill up. And so it is 1-for-1 overall, but that was a crazy set of plays in which a lot of summoner spells were blown, and Sim, losing that flash in the level 1, leads to his death at this point.
Giving that kill over to Milkshake. Wanting to get it. Tidebringer's feeling very confident. They should be able to trade a kill away here, but MKL picks up 1-2. Oh no, Sim got the kill. That's not good. That's really not good. Now all the trading potential, losing the barrier, losing the ignite from Sim. They need to play a whole lot more carefully for the next couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Ermin pretty much knew that he was going to die right there, but was more than happy to go in. MKL also still has the barrier and the flash available, so this Ashe is going to be sat in a very strong position compared to Tidebringer as the counterpart. We are going to see these next set of objectives spawning. We've got a Kempek Drake available potentially. The grubs will be up in 30 seconds time, as both of these junglers hanging around in the mid lane, as is Ermin. No real gank potentials available. Everybody's just going to head back and start picking up their farm once again. But I think in this game, picking up the grubs is going to be incredibly important for Lazy. You've got the Camille on your team, you want her to be strong on the split push, and you really want to stop the Cassante being a nightmare in the side lane. And
they are on good track to do that. Of course, Camille needs a couple of items. We already saw this matchup once, except the players were reversed. And there is some outplay potential there. Uzal, if he can keep the matchup even, should be fine for now. Where the issues are coming in is if Squidly is getting caught out by this incoming squad of Tidebringer and Milkshake, their lane is at a horrible position for a Victor to play in. This is like the Azir threat range where you'll get shuffled back the moment you approach the wave. Instead of the Azir, you just have 2 ganking members. Oh, well, Loki and Ermin are not letting them get to this wave.
No, and I really like this play out of Garden Gaming right here. You know they've roamed up into the mid lane, so you know that you can potentially try to cut them off from
Not
this
just
wave.
going
In fact,
bot side. They're diving. Yeah. Tidebringer underneath the tower, flashes into the Nautilus, avoid the arrow, loses his life for it, should get a kill back.
Lazy Sim gets it again!
It's not looking good for Lazy's bot lane. But they are, again, trading on the rest of the map. Milkshake is getting ahead, it's stealing away the blue buff, accruing resources where Garden isn't playing at. But MKL already on the Kaiser game performed so damn well, and now that he has his favorite Ashe that usually is banned against them, I'm expecting great things from the AD carry.
Yeah, you better. You know, if all of this resource was going towards banning out your champion, now you finally get it for Mikkel. Needs to pop off right here. It was a great Ashe arrow that forced the flash out of Tidebringer. There was kind of no good direction that Tidebringer could have flashed, potentially down beneath, trying to flash towards MKL would have been a little bit better, but overall there were no real good spots for Tidebringer to head into. They do end up going down, as we see, again, people hovering around this mid lane. This is a very explosive early game so far. A lot more kills than we saw, especially in the first game, where we had a long time where things were very calm, very slow. Same in the second game early on, whereas this one has gotten explosive incredibly quickly. And it is different places that all of these advantages are coming from. But again, we haven't had a good time in the bot lane. Uzo, though, gets jumped, and I don't know how much you can do as the Cassante here.
Not much. Equalizer may help, though.
Yes.
Loki dealing so much damage. Flashes forward. Milkshake was slowed for the moment, but Strato, no mana. So a hook shot may be out of the question. Just getting slowly cooked by Loki. Medium rare. 300 gold. Very nice pick up there on the turnaround. As Sim has been as well caught out. No flash and no HP left.
Mikkel gonna pick up that kill. And again, trades going on around the map, but it turns out in the favor of Garden Gaming there. Pick up a kill in the bot lane, pick up a kill in the mid lane. And the fact that you've got 3 kills and an assist right here onto the Ashe is, I think, the biggest thing. There's a reason it was banned out, clearly. I mean, I like that little play, but Tidebringer is just going to be able to jump out. But still, the wave going to be pushed under. Tidebringer once again just going to be stuck underneath this tower. And a nice recall able for Mikkel and Ermin. And any time that you have an Ashe as strong as we do in this game, it makes trying to play any of these carries so tricky because you're slowed constantly. You're spotted out through the Hawkshot, and then it's all about landing those enchanted crystal arrows, trying to find the moment to get that pick. Because if you can catch somebody out, there's a ton of follow-up that this team composition has.
Yeah, and I think the follow-up that you mentioned is the key point when it comes to games like this, where Lazy and Life are trying to fortify themselves against the incoming attacks. They're trying to play at a range. They're trying to accrue resources until they reach their mid-game power spikes and then start playing aggressive themselves. The fact that Garden has so many tools to deny resources and look for these picks is what is keeping them ahead and in the game at a winning position. They are just playing as they should against a team composition like this.
Yeah, it's been an overall well-executed game, I think, out of Garden Gaming. Not to say Lazy haven't found a couple of good spots so far, but it hasn't been quite as effective. And they had super strong early games, Lazy did, in our previous 2 games. That's not what's happening here. There's 2k gold lead for Garden Gaming. That's not what we've seen in this series so far. Interesting new position for Garden Gaming to be playing from at the moment. And if they can keep this gold lead firmly in hand, you know, play through this lead, then they could be trying to stretch Lazy to a game number 4, make it a game point for them. Obviously, we're a long way off of that point right now, but just interesting that they're actually in a gold lead and seeing what they can do from this position.
Still a moment before they can do anything. Erem is not level 6 and MKL has no arrow. Lazy are the ones who has all the tools that they need to start making plays with. Looking at the Kassadin especially, while he does not have items, the level is approaching 11 quite fast, so if Milkshake wants to make the call, they can start contesting towards the dragon area. Sim spotted out, and Loki again positioning with Ermin to deny as many resources from Tidebringer as they can. This time Squidly is nearby as well as the fight is started. This is a 4-on-3. Kassan is stuck in mid lane, clearing the wave. Does have teleporting gaze. A dive is the plan from Gardeman. Seems like they want nothing to do with overcommitting this time around. Seemed to be what their main mistake was in game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Garden put themselves in a okay position a couple of times and then were overcommitting, losing out. Same kind of thing that Lazy also did though. Game 2 specifically, where they had a big lead and then ended up throwing that one away. So it's good to see a bit of extra restraint being exhibited at the moment. Minute and a half until the next Drake is going to be spawning. Another gank onto the mid lane though. Squidly does have the flash though.
Yep, it will be a huge commitment if they want to go underneath the tower. Just uses all of the cooldowns, keeping Milkshake low, but bot side, the arrows off cooldown, equalizes, slows down Tidebringer, and a double kill for Mikkel once again.
Maybe there was a reason that this Ashe has been banned multiple times out. That's what sucks right here for Lazy. Pibble does have another jump away. Okay, he's just going to be able to walk this one out. It's very hard to catch Caston once you have the level 6. Although that is a lot of damage and could well be pushing Pibble back into the base. Milkshake has to jump out of the back of the pit. Did pick up another grub, so that is going to be 4 over to Lazy. It's not the full sweep that they would have liked. Still, though, give a little bit of extra tower pushing over. And with the Ashe, there was just... you had to ban something. You had to change something up as Lazy. And they have to leave the Ashe off of the ban board. They may well be regretting that one at this point, as the bot lane tower falls as well. There's a massive gold advantage right now for Mikkel. I mean, it's got to be 1,000, nearly 2,000 at this point.
I've seen a position.
Nearly 3,000.
Oh.
Never mind.
Oh,
I undersold it.
That is disgusting.
Production. Ouch.
I don't really know what else to say. Like, the Ashe is just completely out of control. They need to somehow catch Mikkel off guard, whether that be with an eventual Camille roam. Pibble can, technically, once this Malignance is finished, just try to look for the one tap where you just ult flash on top of the Ashe before an arrow hits you, take down half of the Ashe's HP, and let the rest of the team do whatever they can. It will be very difficult though, as they look for a fight. 3-on-4 in the mid lane. The shutdown would be great to get. One last auto attack. No, it goes to Sim. The fight keeps going. Squidly teleports to his death. And a team fight win for Lazy in life. But who gets the goal? It is the Karma once again.
Yeah, Sim has been an absolute kill magnet recently as the fighting just does not stop. Milkshake happy to keep this one going. Ermin has to flash away, and that should spell the end of a crazy couple of plays right here. Sim picking up that shutdown onto Mikkel feels terrible, but still, it's a couple of kills over to Lazy. They're going to grab themselves a Drake as well, even it up to 2 apiece. And so, despite the fact that you don't get the shutdown onto who exactly you would like it to be, it's fine. The Karma still does a lot of damage in these fights. Also going to give a lot of extra speed ups and shields and everything that a Karma gives, so it's not the end of the world. But you would really like somebody else to have picked up that kill right now. The gold is 3k in the advantage of Garden Gaming still, but that fight shows what you could do when you have the pick potential. We said there was a ton of follow-up on Garden Gaming, and there is, but that's the same thing for Lazy, if not more, to be honest. If you can catch somebody out with a Milkshake ult, maybe a Strato ult, there are tons of champions who can jump forward, keep playing these fights. Sim.
Oh, hooks the wall. They could look to fight this. A very awkward position for Garden to find themselves, and with the Imperial Mandate finished, Sim does do considerable damage with Mantra Qs as they hit. But as long as Milkshake is on his full clear, they can't really push it too hard. Pebble also getting rotated over to the side lane to get some additional resources. Lacking his teleport makes playing aggressive way harder. Not for Strato though. Stun combination. Long CC. How many ultimates can we get on the Camille? Let's get every single one of them as they pick up the kill.
Uzo Inting didn't press ulti onto Camille. What is he doing? No, great fight right there out of Garden Gaming. They have to blow a lot, but it doesn't really matter. Sim, the killer of Lazy, gets jumped. He is able to survive and jump away. Now Loki is under threat. Is going to get taken out, and Ermin's the next one.
Tidebringer is such a strong AD carry, but on the flank, you have Usol coming in and pulls Tidebringer over the wall. Will pick up a double kill. Now it's a one-on-one between the top and mid laner, but K'Sante, even though he is very mobile, can't really catch onto Kassadin. Is he running out of mana, though? He's cast a lot of ultimates, won't be using any more. But a triple kill for Milkshake. Nobody gets the objective. But Garden comes out ahead when it comes into total kills.
Yeah, but still, the triple, like you said, on Milkshake, I think is key. Milkshake's not been able to get as many kills early on as you really want on the Vi. Finally is able to, just about dies in the end. Nearly had another Vault Breaker to potentially pick up a fourth in that fight. Truly crazy. And now has that completed. Item is now working on the second as well. And so is putting himself back into a good spot in this game. Overall, back and forth, crazy, tons of kills. We've got more than a kill a minute at the moment, and I really don't see this game slowing down, because in and amongst all of that craziness, nobody actually picked up the Herald.
They are looking to fight again. Min takes a bunch of damage, but oh, the arrow hits a different target that was intended, but it may have saved Mikkel's life. Trato was coming in with a Hextech Ultimatum, and once the Ash is stuck in there, no way to get out.
You're going to be very happy as Mikkel that basically Strato jumped into that Ash arrow. The fact that it lands really does stop what could have been a lot of extra aggression. 3v2 that could have gone pretty badly. Ermin's been landing a ton of great hooks in this game so far. Also has got that Warmogs completed, which is huge. Warmogs at the moment is such a strong item, even though it's been nerfed a couple of times in a row, still does a lot for your champion. It means that this Nautilus can play around these long extended fights that much more effectively, give you even more support for your main carries. A lot of magic damage is available for Garden Gaming with their composition, and there's no real tank to actually deal with it as Lazy.
Gardens again looking to converge around this mid lane area. They really want to get this Herald. You can feel it in the rotations, but with people constantly shoving in the side lane and Strato having the Tiamat now capable to clear the side lane way faster than before, finding the proper rotation to catch someone out is proving to be quite difficult.
Yeah, they just seem to be running around the map desperately trying to find somebody to jump on, and so far has not quite worked out. Luckily, objectives are pre-built times for you to go and have a team fight, something that right now with the 2000 gold lead, I think Garden Gaming are absolutely itching for. They've got a ton of great AoE ultimates that you can use, and that do a ton at the moment, as we do see the teleport out of people into this mid lane. They really are going to scrap around this Drake.
Loki would be the one to watch. Equalizer
Milkshake
still
flank.
available. And on the flank, Milkshake is ready to engage. But Tidebringer is running out of mana, so this fight would be, in the long run, possibly hard to take. They spotted Milkshake out on a ward, no Vault Breaker. Teleport being channeled now, and they land the arrow as well, but on the other side, they're looking for the fight. Loki's already down. Equalizer only on the pebble. Kassadin falls, but now MKL needs to be peeled away from everyone from Lazy are jumping after the AD carry, but they can't reach him. That's a double kill. That's a triple kill. That's a quadra kill and an ace for MKL.
MKL, it looked like he'd run away from his team, abandoned the boys, but it turns out to be the right decision. Uzol, that was a brilliant knockback on the Ntofu strikes. It gets everybody back into range for MKL to just be laying down the damage. The Ashe was banned game 1, the Ashe was banned game 2, it's up game 3, and MKL is trying to put it firmly back in the ban column with this game.
And a skyrocket 5k ahead. MKL on this Ashe. You can see why it was banned. The goal differential. He's the only one with 5 numbers on the scoreboard.
4K! That's a 4K gold lead, Carvis. Holy moly. I mean, and there's also a 2K in the top lane. Jungle is even, I guess. There's a 1,000 gold lead difference in the supports, so that's something, but also after Sim has stolen away 3 massive shutdowns, I would hope so. This game feels like it's Garden Gaming's to lose right now, in massive control, and the thing with their composition is it just works AoE a lot better.
On the side lane, it seems like they are matching up pretty equally.
There's no Ashe there.
There is no Ashe
the
there.
difference.
But the Ashe is in the mid lane, and they are looking to push their advantage now. As Pibble still accruing XP and gold on the side lanes, they really need this Kassadin to perform sooner than later, because they are lacking some critical damage when it comes to assassinating and finishing off these squishy carries of Garden.
Yeah, there are plenty of squishy carries if you can actually get on top of them, but it's a very single target focused composition out of Lazy, and they just haven't been able to get on top of the single most important target, which is Mickle right here. Sure, Squiggly's been going down relatively often, but you know what? As we say that, wait, there's no way. There's no way he just lives.
This is a very slow play from Lazy and Live. Teleport channel is quite long, and committing their jungler to that, this lets Garden Gaming just start up the Baron for free, and I think they know it. The Ashe is dealing so much damage to the Baron though, and with no smite to deal with, they need to poke Garden away from this objective or it will go over for free. People can as well just try and hop in, but nope, it's smited away. And Baron power play coming up for Garden Gaming, 8k ahead, and a really, really good sieging potential with the equalizer, with the Victor range. Not even mentioning that they have an Ashe with like 12k gold at this point.
Absolutely, and Carvis, we haven't really spoken about this so far. Obviously, we're just warming our toes into this best of 5, but the winner of this game goes on to game point, and the winner of this series carries on. The loser is out. Their playoffs is done. If you lose this game right here as Garden Gaming, put yourself down, then you could have one of the saddest possible entries into the playoffs, where you lose to RG and then you lose to Lazy. Lazy, though, joining in from the losers bracket and then having a performance like this is incredibly impressive. They are feeling like they're on the precipice of going on. Pibble should just be able to get away. He's only level 14 though. Oh wow.
Nope,
just
no
dead.
way he's getting out. That's a beautiful combination from Garden. And since Milkshake and Sim came to help, now they find themselves in trouble. Cook on the ball breaker to interrupt. Beautiful from Ermin. And without their mid laner and jungler, defending against this Baron is looking near impossible.
Indeed it is. Minute and a half until the next Drake happens, so plenty of time to siege onto these towers, use this Baron buff to the absolute fullest extent. Mid lane tier 2 will forward right here. Bot lane just has a pretty big wave going through as Ermin just about hits a minion with that hook. But it doesn't really matter. You've got the mid lane pushed down. Now they can collapse down onto this bottom lane tower. Good rotation coming through out of Garden Gaming so far as they continue to extend their map presence, their gold lead. Strato looks like he wants to try to get something done, but they're down a couple of members, and this is the engage.
Nope. Tidebringer buffers out of it. Strato, there's just no way that Camille can solo engage. There's no one to hop in with these bruiser-type champions.
No.
And since there's no dedicated tank,
There's no tank.
It's a clear sign for whoever jumps in to get stunned up by Garden and instantly deleted by the Victor Rumble duo. There's so much AP burst coming in.
Yeah, exactly. The lack of designated tank, especially when Abyssal's so strong at the moment. You could pick that one. No? Okay, it's fine. The lack of tank, it just feels like there's no way to step up into these team fights right now, as once again Tidebringer gets jumped.
Arrow goes wide, so no stuns for God, and teleport's being channeled in though. They're looking for Tidebringer, hopping into the backline, Milkshake.
MKL's dead.
He's dead, so is MKL, and now mainly the DPS is gone, but Tidebringer's in the middle of everyone, also dead. Pibble surviving, not for long, as Sim is the only one left alive. There's just not enough survivability in Lazy in life. They found the 80 carry, but with all the resources that they committed, it's just so difficult to finish off the rest of the team. Now Sim trying to make the hero play to stop the dragon may just end up dying himself.
Yeah, the ace is going to go over, and Garden Gaming continue to extend their lead. You said it perfectly, Carvis. They expended everything to get on top of MKL. You get the kill, but that's it. You've overcommitted. You've lost every bit of engaged tool that you could potentially have. It's a very single target composition, as we've been saying from Lazy. The single target does die, but it takes far too long. MKL surviving. Honestly, the amount of healing that Bloodthirster has done has got to be crazy at this point. And then the rest of the team do more than enough damage to get things done. 2 tanks on Garden Gaming between the Cassante and the Nautilus mean that these extended fights are just fine as well. And we see the way that this game just isn't happening so far. That is going to be a cancelled recall out of Uzor, so that is at least something in terms of the tempo on the map, but Strato can't really kill this Cassante at the moment. It doesn't really feel like that is a particularly big win at all, and Garden Gaming, they can just continue on with this game. Of course, they still haven't...
Oh no.
Well, there it is.
Yep. Pebble doesn't even have level 16, so the ultimate is not that short of a cooldown. Will get locked up by the hook. And this Kassadin is just not putting in the work he needs to. Even popping the Seeker's Vanguard there to look for a possible assassination onto the AD carry. Oh no, Sim.
Bye, Sim.
Goodbye. Good try. Trying to keep Garden away from defending the mid lane push, but
Mid lane
Squidly may
is
fall.
good. Squidly may also go down. This is actually a pretty big injection of gold overall, although Milkshake will go back over. And there is a big push happening up in the top lane, as once again we're going to head into a quick pause. Hopefully we get to jump back out of this one pretty quickly on, because this game has been super back and forth, and despite the fact that Garden Gaming are in control of this game, it doesn't feel like they've got what it takes to end this game nice and quickly. You know, when there was a big lead happening for Lazy in game 1, they ended the game very quickly on. Garden Gaming have stalled out a little bit. They are trading back and forth. The fact they lose the mid lane tier 1 tower is a pretty big injection of gold over right here to Lazy.
the main thing about this mid lane trade, though, is there's still 3 members of God on the top side of the map, and you said that they can't end the game. They
Nope,
definitely
right.
can.
You might be right here. It would be pretty bold out of Garden Gaming to push on and try to end it right there, but still, you can understand the attempt. Strato wants to find a bit of a flank right there. Doesn't end up happening, and that is going to be an inhibitor down in the top lane. 30 seconds until the Baron, though. Everybody needs to take a recall, get their last remaining items, and get ready for what could be the last brawl of this game. And take a look into the inventories right now of both Squidly and Loki. That is 2 different Zhonyas.
It's just... They don't need to build magic resistance because the Kassadin isn't really doing anything. Whenever the Kassadin is hopping in, he's getting stun locked and kind of shut down before he can get anything going. Kassadin shines in those fights where there's someone engaging for him, he dives onto the AD carry, one taps him, gets his mana back, and then from there on continues the fight. But if you can't get onto the back line without losing a member in the trade, it's just really weird for Pibble to play. The saving grace is he hit level 60. He is very powerful now. But against the Baron up Garden Gaming, they are going to need to find some sort of a miracle angle to get the fight cleanly started.
Absolutely. Right now, push into the bottom lane, a bit of a steal away for Milkshake onto this red buff. Means that Lazy don't come away completely empty-handed, although the trade's definitely won by Garden Gaming right here, and they've got a big push mounted into the mid lane. Once again, Ermin over the wall doesn't quite hit the hook, neither does the arrow land, but the push continues nonetheless.
Yep, no way to stop this with the Demolish proc. They can take the turret down, didn't even need it, and the hooks are flying left, right, and center. Ermin just needs to find any target. They should win the fight if anyone gets hooked. With 2 inhibitors down, though, they don't really have anything to play for here in the mid lane anymore. Just looking for picks if they can find any. Well, it's just an awkward position for both teams. Equalizer onto Strato. They found someone who gets caught out, but with the ultimate... Oh no! Tidebreaker gets tagged by it! Forced to go right back into the fountain to heal himself back up. Garden Gaming are looking to end the game. Pibble hops in, but already down to so low HP. Will just die out of the Zonias, and Garden Gaming with a clean performance on the blue side. They may have taken
Wait, can they not
one.
end?
Oh, can they not end?
They're so low.
They are fairly low. Tidebringer seems to be scary enough that they want to keep this clean. They were looking.
Into your ending speech.
They looked confident enough to just go for
Yeah.
it. They are so far ahead. I didn't expect Tidebringer to scare them off like that. But
No, I'm surprised too, but I guess playing respectful is good. Exhibiting restraint not going to be a bad thing. They are teleporting in to try and go get that Drake. It's fine. Just got more time to brew the ending speech, right?
I have to revise it a little bit. I can't use the same thing twice, can
True, true.
What-
No,
what-
nobody will notice.
I? Right?
Nobody listens to us.
Anyway, Mountain Soul.
Wait. Oh, nearly. That was a good try out of Tidebringer, but that is going to be a death onto Milkshake, and I think this may be the end of the game.
Have you heard the tales of Mountain Soul Cassandra? It's something.
With those items.
I don't think Uzal took any damage from the Mantra Q. They even catch Tidebringer. What a beautiful hook from Ermin. They finally have done it. I think MKL will fall eventually, but the Kassadin just isn't able to do anything. Sure, you may be level 16, but do the enemies care? Not really. They're on your Nexus. And Garden is one game away from continuing their playoffs run.
Garden Gaming came in as one of our top teams. Didn't make it work in round one, but they have now got us on to match point, and I think that was honestly one of the most impressive games I've seen out of Garden Gaming all year. Sure, it wasn't the quickest end, but the way that they played around their carries was very impressive, and would you join me in thinking that maybe the Ashe needs to return to being banned?
Mayhaps. Mikkel overall seems to be a kind of a linchpin when it comes to Lazy Life's game plan. Even in the second game, the W's that Kaiser were throwing out in the late game, even though early on it looked nice, late game, Mikkel shows why he's one of the most respected AD carries in Division 2 at the moment. And yeah, not respecting the Ashe proved to be a critical mistake. I think along with the way they played around the Kassadin, who really never got his thing going, maybe return to the drawing board with that as well. But we'll let Lazy Life have a moment to think. We'll have game 4 for you shortly as we head to a small break.
What I carry on my shoulders, I'm showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. Fire passion. I got fire passion. Fire What I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. What I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. We're showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. I got passion.
Welcome back once again as Garden Gaming have clutched it out to game point for the series. Lazy Life decided maybe the R5 Cassidy wasn't the thing. Well, that was the best idea.
Mm.
And they head back to blue side. And assuming
Mm.
this Ash returns to the ban table,
Yeah.
uh, how do you come back from a game like that? Do you just go, well, we may have effed up something here, or
Yeah.
do you go back to the Oriana game plan?
I think the Oriana first pick, if it's not banned, is absolutely fine. There was not the issue in any of these games, even though it didn't pop off quite as much versus the Yone as you would have liked. I wouldn't mind a Yone ban, and then you move over towards picking yourself up this Oriana again. But even if you do let the Yone through, there were reasons that it popped off in that game that wasn't just the individual matchup. And I think the Oriana was just such a great, stable base to be able to play around. There were some brilliant shockwaves that were just carrying Lazy through these games. Obviously, there's some other things they potentially need to fix. I think bot lane needs to be a bit more of a focus for them, because it's now been multiple times where the bot lane for Mickle has been sort of a bastion of strength for Garden Gaming, even when the early games for Garden Gaming usually weren't that good.
Well, say that they ban the Yone.
Mm.
What do you leave open?
Yeah.
So far they've banned Lilia, Corki, Ash.
I
is-
think you
is-
can leave the Lilia, honestly.
Loki's Lilia?
Yeah,
It-
genuinely.
it's pretty good.
I agree the Loki's Lilia is good, but also it's again the sort of champion that kind of wants to just sit in the jungle, chill until level 6. It's not going to bother you too much, and I think Milkshake's a proactive enough jungler and has been playing well enough on these proactive jungles that you don't mind the fact that the Lilia buys you the space to go do that, to go try to be hyper aggressive on whatever's left open. If it's the Viego, the Vi, the Xin Zhao, any of those are great pickups for Milkshake, and having a Lilia as your opposition buys you that time and that space. I agree. Once we get into the later stages, mid to late stages where the Lilia gets online, it's terrifying. It's so fast, you can barely deal with it. It does so much damage. There's a reason it's on the ban table at the moment. But I think I'd rather that was left open than the Corki, because Corki is so dang strong.
Yeah.
Also, you'd pull your hat out. And my Teemo hat's so far away, I couldn't get at it.
When was the last time you got to use your Teemo hat? Huh? When's the last time? At least I get some use out of mine.
I pull it out for troll picks, alright? If it was close to me, both the Kassadin and the Zed would have had a Teemo hat pull out.
I disagree with the Zed. The Cassidy was a little bit suspect, but I think it could have worked. It just didn't end up working out. There's been a lot of interesting drafts going on in the last
Yeah.
couple of days. Even the previous series, we saw Seba Mid show up. That's
Yeah.
been mostly a solo queue special in Korea, as far as I remember. But let's see what they cook up for Game 4's draft, because we are ready to go.
Alrighty, I think the bans are ominously super interesting right now. Okay, Lazy, not going to agree with me at all. We are going to go towards the Lilia. It looks like we are once again going to be taking a lot of the same champions off of the board. Corki goes, I group the Corki. I think this is the point where it's really interesting. Do they take the Ashe out? Do they take out the Yone? Because both have now popped off for Garden Gaming, won them 2 of the games. Or do they just go for a secret third option? They do. They think that maybe the Rumble was actually the issue. It is the bit that was in both Game 2 and 3, so maybe that is the key. Maybe Loki having this Rumble was way too strong. Is going to be the exact same bans out of Garden Gaming once again, and it does mean that Lazy are going to pick themselves up the Ashe as the first pick. I like that counter. If you're not going to ban it, you have to take it away.
So this opens up some more opportunities for Loki. For example, Brand and Zyra are still on the table. What else is there? Karthus mayhaps. Also, if they want to keep it so that Loki plays his favorite AP junglers, then those are most likely the ones. They can also flex Talia around, but the K'Sante makes sense. It has been a powerhouse in this entire series. Hasn't lost the game yet. I don't think K'Sante has lost the game yet.
I don't think so. Nope. He's so strong. He's just so good. Even if you put him down during the early laning phase, there's nothing you can really do about the fact that K'Sante is going to get tanky later on. He's going to be able to take one of your carries and beat them about. And also those Tofu strikes, when you can knock everybody back towards your team, that's a great starter for a big wombo combo, as a lot of these compositions have had. Varus is a new pick to us, though. Usually is going a lot more towards the poke variant at the moment. Can also go into the mid lane, is not locked to the bot lane. Okay, Ahri and Ashe and
Ahri Viego.
Yeah.
The Viego's left
Okay.
open, so they go for it. Ahri Viego. This is the premier pairing for multitude of patches before we went into the AD carry meta. But now God knows what they're up against. And Ahri does have some annoying counter picks that you have to deal with. It's just a question, what is Squidly comfortable on?
Yeah. Because Squidly hasn't showed us that much so far. Obviously,
Well, he
that
has shown
is
us
one
the
of
Yone.
Yeah, that's something he has shown us. And to be fair, it does do okay into the Ahri. It's kind of the same thing as we had with the Orianna, where you get poked out early on. You need to be careful to avoid those charms, otherwise you can potentially get soloed out. But once the level 6 does pop, you are going to be in a good spot, and it pairs up really well with the K'Sante. Plus, Varus has some self-peel, meaning that you're not so worried about not having the utility for your team, perhaps. You can just go straight into these fights, play your own game, and not worry as much about your ADC getting taken out.
And bans. More focus in the jungle for Lazy in life. I assume there's going to be a Camille taken away from Strato afterwards. It's either Camille or Gnar if they want to keep banning away the top laners, but there's also the chance of them not wanting to play against some, let's say, Nautilus with the Varus. Okay, Rakan is what they're going to take away.
Yeah, I can see that. It pairs well with the Ashe.
I'm just trying to... The Rakan ban, what do they want to pick here? Because Nautilus is generally considered pretty good against the Rakan. So are they looking to pick up Rel for themselves instead? And just
Maybe the
force
Leo?
Oh, right, Ivan was also an option. Yeah, makes sense. They get rid of that. So Brand is still there.
Yes, Brand has escaped a ban.
Oh,
phase.
Sejuani. Why isn't Sejuani being locked in here?
Sejuani has been escaping all of our pick bans so far today. Nobody seems to really want to go towards it. I agree. I'm a massive Sejuani truther. It's super strong at the moment. Doesn't matter though, Brand is available, so Brand is going to be the pick. And to be honest, this is a teamfight composition out of Garden Gaming right now that is super strong. There's a reason Brand has been the premier of the jungle forever at this point. It's so strong, and it just makes teamfights impossible to play on an even footing, because you will take massive bird damage, and it will happen to every single member of your team. Doesn't matter if the Brand goes near them or not, it's impossible in a big messy team fight to stop the bounces from happening. But in terms of big team fights, Kennen is pretty huge. It does do well into the K'Sante. Again, it's another one where you have early push onto your lane opponent, but then once a couple of items come under the K'Sante's belt, he can beat the little rat about, and this is a risk, but Lazy, they have to do something here.
Pick up the Nautilus as well with the Ashe. I'd be surprised if this is just... they banned the Alistar themselves. Milio would make sense. Has the Q to kick away the approaching Kennen or Viego. It's either Milio or Rel. I'm debating between those two. Renata would also make sense, because you want exhaust on your support regardless. Braum. Okay.
For the Ashe Arrow,
Yeah,
I
makes sense.
guess. Like and you stop quite a lot of the Ari as well. Can also tank up a hook out of the Nautilus and help out. So I get it. It's perhaps not my favorite of the available options. I actually would have really liked the Renata here, but at the same time, I do think the Brom has a lot of strengths at the moment. It is a pretty good pick overall. It's a very interesting draft we've resulted in once again. Squidly, the best game that he's played so far has very much been on this Yone, and doesn't have too bad a matchup into the Ari, right? You get poked out early, but I don't think Squidly's going to be too worried about that. I think we're in another situation where Lazy have to go all in on the early game, early to mid game, and then if they pop off then, it's about trying to close this one out, because the late game scaling, yeah, I'm terrified of what Garden Gaming can do later on.
Yeah. Also, there's a reason why I talked about the support, who they want specifically exhaust on. This is something that I heard on the LCK broadcast where they play Kennen a lot. We have people like Zeus and names are escaping me, but there's a bunch of Kennen players in the LCK, and it's almost always losing just because it is hard countered by a summoner spell. Exhausted Kennen jumps in, goes and does nothing.
Nothing.
Sure, it keeps people in place, maybe takes like a fifth of their HP, but it's not enough. You need to find some really great angles right into the Zonia so you don't get exhausted. And even then, you don't really have frontline to work with in this team composition outside of the Nautilus. So I'm a bit worried. We'll get to see how in this Division 2 level the Kennen works out. But as you said, against Cassante, should do pretty well, at least in lane.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Should be able to establish a push, poke out the Cassante quite a lot. A solo kill would be asking a little bit too much, I think, but with the involvement of a Viego, that can be huge. And I think the Viego is very interesting as well. It's worth mentioning. Milkshake's had a good game, I think, a good series even overall. But the Viego's been banned a lot away from him, and I think we're about to experience why. This Viego is super strong at the moment if you're not going for the AP junglers. It does great stuff, and also can work early on when a brand is still ramping up.
Early game, strong for both teams. Let's go into the Rift and see who comes out ahead for us. And so far, we haven't seen too much early aggression. But the Nautilus is always a factor that you have to worry about, whether it goes to the bot side or it goes into the mid lane to fish for the flash. You can get some summon spell trades with this pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be back and forth, right? We've seen a couple of early games that were very calm and quiet, a couple more that have been pretty explosive. I think this is likely to be on the slightly more explosive side if Milkshake has anything to say about it, as well as the fact that Tidebringer and Sim could potentially go for some 2v2 kills. We've seen Ermin get pretty aggressive early on. Going for the Braum here kind of delays that, at least. But still, we've seen what it takes when an Ashe can get a couple of autos in. It's so difficult to get away. Do you think there's a chance for a solo kill anywhere else, potentially? I'm not so sure.
I think mid lane is the only one where well-caught Charm could eventually take down a low HP Squidly, or a overextended Ari could get knocked up and slowly but surely deleted by a Yone that has a couple of long swords, but it'll take some time. Bot lane is going to be the volatile lane, and that's why you see both of the junglers starting top side this time around.
Yeah, exactly. So, see how they can do with these clears. Viego clears pretty quickly, so does the Brand, but the Brand a lot less interested in getting involved in the early ganks, wants to sit and farm. It's kind of the same thing we were talking about with the Lilia, where Milkshake is afforded quite a lot of space and time to try to get things going with this Viego, who can gank pretty effectively early on. Of course, the Viego does scale relatively well, and changes the layout of team fights, where if you can get yourself already, okay, fine, trade and summon the spells. Ermin, no exhaust, and Tidebringer, no cleanse. That was very aggressive out of Ermin. I love it. You don't usually see Broms that aggressive.
I mean, if you get the early stacks and opponent is standing in the minion wave, why not? It's one of those positions where you can just look for aggressive trading no matter where you are, who or what you are facing. The minions deal surprising amounts of damage, especially early on, as you can kind of see Uzol can't really approach here, just because Trato has the wave stacking up against him. it just needs to clear this somehow to be able to farm eventually. I guess Kennen it might be difficult though.
Just a little bit, right? Just a tad. Milkshake has made his way down to this bottom side. Does still have the Grumps? Krugs. Jeez, my brain. To clear right here, and there is a ward early on out of Garden Gaming, but I do wonder if Milkshake is still potentially going to try to force something into the bottom lane. You've got more than enough damage, more than enough slows and CC to at least blow a couple of flashes away, although being spotted out here isn't going to help. Sim doesn't care though.
Lands the hook, and may have to flash the incoming stun. Oh, okay, Milkshake won't even go for it instead. Heads over to the scuttle, but finds Brand right there,
but the
collapsing onto Loki. Will force out the flash instantly, but Ermin has gone too far. Will be flashing away, but Tidebringer has the auto attack slows. MKL marches forward, tries to get the stun in. First blood for the Varus, but 2 kills for a Lazy in life. Pretty much the equal trade, but the scuttle priority stays there for Milkshake.
Does indeed, and it looked like it should have been a great collapse right there for Lazy, and indeed they come out with a couple more kills. But MKL just about being able to pick up that final kill onto Tidebringer is huge. It at least gets you something back. You manage to get yourself back into lane with that Vampiric Scepter, which is just going to make this lane that much easier to play out. And the fact that you get a Brand involved in a team fight this early, I think is another win for Lazy. You get a kill. It's fine.
I didn't even realize people stayed there. Tidebringer is the one holding down mid lane. And yeah, this could be an awkward fix since Quiddly can shove in his wave quite fast. Okay, they just expand Pebble's teleport. No need to use defensively in the future. Loki though, this Brand has no flash. Ratho would be... he misses the Q! Has to go in quite far.
Loki lives.
Get the stun. No, doesn't live. He was just waiting for the W to see if Milkshake could follow up with his stun of his own. Even went.
Worried there.
it looked a little iffy, but since they knew Loki doesn't have flash, it was pretty free to go for that. They also managed to give the kill over to Viego. We've seen before, if Milkshake gets ahead early on, he can start taking over the game.
He really can, but this is the way that I think you expect the early game to go for Garden Gaming. This composition wants to ramp into the later stages. You're waiting for the Cassante to get to be big and beefy and unkillable. You're waiting for the Brand to just deal 1,000,000 burn damage. So, the fact that it's going well for Lazy isn't surprising, but also the amount of kills they're getting isn't great. Flash forward out of Strato is going to pick up that kill. And yeah, it is going very heavily in the favor of Lazy, and I think that's the worry. Not that it's in their favor, but the amount of kills going over, the pressure that's just being leaked by Garden Gaming, that's not good.
It's looking dire, especially for the jungle matchup. Loki's falling behind, not in CS, but the amount of kills and the XP that it provides is kinda scary. Once the Viego hits 6, the diving potential starts to unlock itself, where you just get reset after reset, keep going towards the bot side of the map, where Sim and Tidebringer are more than capable of bringing enough CC to the table. And they are looking for these aggressive trades, just trading HP back and forth. Sim getting very low though, has to flash the piercing arrow, but now has gone too far. They see the Viego approaching, and the kill is easily secured by Tidebringer.
Lazy, they want to send us to a Game 5. They do not want to be knocked out of these 2024 summer playoffs. Gaming are going to pick themselves up the Drake at least. Loki gets very low, has no mana as well, but the play took long enough in the bottom lane. Not going to be able to get away. Pibble gets jumped by Squidly. That's not good.
Can't go there. You cannot go that direction. Milkshake is on the bot side of the map. Quickly realizes it, and we may take some damage on the rotation back to mid lane. Needs to be careful that Pibble doesn't all in. Has the Spirit Rush available. One good charm is all he needs to get a possible solo kill. But meanwhile, Loki doesn't know what basing is. Gets right to the other objective and is almost dying to the Void Grubs.
Yeah, I feel like at some point Loki really needs to base. You know, you have this thing called gold, and you can spend it. Milkshake gonna make it so that Loki has to go spend that gold, picks up that kill, is able to steal the body as well.
It's unstoppable for the moment. Hops over the wall. Good save by Ermin.
Hibble though. Okay, they're out. It's fine. All good.
Looking
Loki
for it, but
has to spend his gold. He's been returned to base. He's going to get out with a haunting, guys, so deals a decent amount of damage right now. 2 of the grubs did go over to Garden Gaming. They do lose one, though, because it was taking so long for the baseless Loki to be able to pick up that objective. And Strato uses the little bit of advantage he has right here to pick himself up a turret plate. This is quite a big wave that Uzo is missing too. No teleport available on the Cassante.
will be, I think, once he gets to the wave like 10 or 13 CS down. Not where you exactly want to be, but you are Cassante. Eventually, you will become useful, at least hopefully. As again, Lazy on the back of this Viego and Ashe composition, all starting to snowball the game quite well. And Kale and Herman, I think this bot lane of Garden has been the stars of the show so far.
Yes.
But not really getting themselves into the groove. They have to play a lot more defensive with the champions that they have picked for this game.
Absolutely. Until you get a little bit later on into this game, yeah, defensive is going to have to be the name of the game right now. Unless, of course, these junglers want to get involved, and they are once again around this bottom side of the map. Milkshake specifically 4-0-2 has that Kraken Slayer completed, so it is in a very, very strong position. So far ahead of the opposition, actually. It'd be interesting to see what the individual gold is. So we watch the mid laners once again scrap. I don't think this is going to turn into a solo kill, but it's pretty decent damage that Squidly manages to get onto Pibble.
And Squiggly has lifesteal and fleet footwork, so the sustain is there. It's just that he needs to be a little bit careful due to Milkshake always being a possibility. He needs to play around vision, needs to play around the information from his own jungler where the Viego should be at the moment. That's the precarious position that Garden find themselves in. They need to play on the opposite side of the Viego because there's no way they're gonna be able to beat him right at this moment.
Yeah. No, the Viego in a 1v1 is going to come out on top. Even in a 2v2 at this point, right? You're not going to be able to get through this champion. And that's exactly where Milkshake wants to be. He's been in a lot of leads so far and has made good use of them. So, see what they can do. Arrow coming in. Oh, doesn't land on Squidly. They're still dead.
Squidly did that. It's always so sad to see that happen. He had the reaction dodge to the Ashe arrow that he saw. It's just that he has to go back and he sees the rest of the team go, oh no.
Yeah. I've never played Yone. I don't think he's my kind of champion. He seems like he takes skill. But I just imagine it has to feel so bad, right? Watching your ghost form be sat around by the whole rest of the team and be like, ah, no.
Unless you have like 7 kills, then you just know you're getting a quadra kill.
Oh yeah, that is just straight up murder time. But unfortunately not the case for Squidly at the moment. 0-1 and 0. Not exactly that pop-off point for the Yono, although Squidly had a bad early game. Not a neutral early game the previous time that he played it, and then popped off later on. So it's not like this Yone has lost its chance to pop off in this game, but certainly it wasn't going to be that moment.
Yeah, it's about the 2-item mark where Yone starts to be an absolute monster. We saw it in the previous game where he was facing... Oh, I'll return to that shortly because Lazy are looking to maybe get a repeat performance of that earlier play. Arrow not off cooldown just yet, but they have the hook to replace it. CCing up Squidly. Now it's the turn of Roman to take a huge chunk out of his HP. But they still won't get any kills and have a priority play around the dragon area. Mikkel's rotating over though as Tidebringer stuck underneath the tower for the moment. They even rotated Uzo.
TP?
TP, yeah, that's on the flank. They are looking to get
the
Varus. Cleanse is there, but way too many stunts coming. Him KL's away. They even get his support as an extra part of the package. And Lazy and Live, they seem angry.
They do. They seem like they're annoyed that they lost game 2, even more annoyed that they ended up losing out onto game 3, and they don't want to go home. They want to keep playing in this summer split, and they're doing a great job of making that happen so far, up by about 4,000 gold at the moment. pick up a Drake as well, and it will be Hextech Soul, which is a pretty huge one if you can pick it up. Strato finding a couple more turret plates, because despite all of the craziness so far, we're only 13 minutes into this game right now. Second set of grubs have spawned. Right now, you can see Sim on it, although Milkshake is heading over. If you can pick this up, would be 4 of the grubs available to Lazy, which helps out their push quite a lot, and also denies it away from any potential split pushing that Squiggly or Uzol would have wanted to do.
It's also really nice when you consider the later stage of the game. You have quite long-range auto attacks from Stratos Cannon and Tidebringer's Ash. So just getting that small chip damage on the towers when they are hit on the side lanes is pretty good to have. We'll just get that push going that much faster.
Yeah.
What is going on here? This is not the pairing I was.
Lazy.
This is not the pairing I expected to see on the side lane. Kennen and Nautilus trying to fend off Garden Gaming from pushing this bot side tower in. They are rotating Pebble over as well. Kind of debating whether to go for the mid lane wave or help out the rest of the team down bot. Nothing comes out of it. Instead, it's Milkshake who's racking up an advantage there, launching an arrow into middle again. Not even close.
But just keeps throwing them out, and I love that. Tidebringer is hitting enough of them and keeping everybody on Garden Gaming honest. So yeah, even though they're not landing, it's not going to be the end of the world at the moment. 4,000 gold lead is pretty significant, and Lazy, they do want to further expand it. You can see what those 4 grubs are doing, just getting this tower down a decent amount quicker, and yeah, Squiddly is not at that item break point whatsoever. It's going to be multiple items before he manages to even get one at this point. You can see the Kennen got that Leandry's finished, and yeah, there's just some components sat for Squiddly. I wonder if we could, production, take a quick look at what the individual gold is sat at the moment. Thank you very much. And it is going to be, yeah, just decent leads across the board, as Ermin, he's caught again.
Has to flash.
Oh, good.
There is the rest of Garden there. But
Oh,
Loki,
no.
they have to expend another flash. They are just getting caught one after another. And this is, again, the amount of buttons that Lazy can press to keep the fight going is so easy to execute, and it's all up to Garden to find the angle where they can actually fight against the possibility of the Viego lurking on the sidelines.
It's the Nautilus hooks more than anything. Those dredge lines are never the initial engaged.
Whoa, flank TP, flank TP.
Okay, Uzol.
Uzol wants to fight this. Strato is there as well, so Slicing Maelstrom is available. Exhausted too early, so this is Strato's time to go in. The all-out use will drag out the Viego. Double kill already there. Milkshakes just getting taken down. MKL shuts him down, and a really chaotic fight. I don't exactly know what happened there. It looked like the perfect Slicing Maelstrom from Strato, but there was no follow-up. I don't think Tidebringer was exactly in the fight either.
No, Tidebringer was nowhere nearby.
MKL was just able to get all of those kills, while the Viego was all outed all the way back to the mid outer tower by Uzol.
Yeah, the thing about that fight was Tidebringer wasn't there, sent through the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but it doesn't end up hitting onto anybody. And the fight is just so messy and split, and you're missing a ton of damage. And Garden Gaming, they finally get a good fight off. They've now got 2 of the Borks completed, which is going to be huge. Both Squiggly and MKO have those grabbed up. And sure, the gold is still a decent chunk of an advantage for Lazy, but they're trying to bring it down just a little bit and showed the first true signs of life, I think, in this game. And the 3-1-1 Varus could potentially be someone to try to play around. Of course, on-hit Varus is not the strongest of the AD carries, but you kind of need it in this game to get through a couple of the tankier members. It just means that your Varus has to play at a much closer range, so it's going to be quite on Garden Gaming's tanks to try to buy him enough space to really play this one out.
We'll get to see how that plays out, as the Herald could be the target for both of these teams. Loki finally getting his first item done as well, as the Leandry now. So we can expect at least some damage from the Garden Gaming jungler. Milkshake, of course, still way ahead of the pack. And if this dragon comes up before Garden can commit to a single play, Lazy can go for a huge tempo play of taking the objective kind of under God's noses, while they only have the Brand DPSing the Herald.
Yeah, and this is just well executed so far out of Lazy. They're definitely playing this one out like it is an elimination match. As it is, they really need to win this one, otherwise their summer season is going to be over, and you don't want that in the first round of the playoffs that you actually get to compete in. Garden Gaming is going to be onus on them to try to find some potential big plays, but I think they're not, despite the fact that there's a big lead right now, I don't know that you're that mad about it as Garden Gaming, because your team fights are so good late on. Once you get 2-3 items completed, that's first items completed now, second items on the way in the next 5 minutes or so. At that point, I think that Garden Gaming can begin to win some of these team fights, so I need to see Lazy accelerate the game further. I think they've done really well early on, a lot of applause especially to Milkshake, but what can they do next to keep this going?
I do agree. Garden Gaming has excellent late game team fighting, as long as Lazy does not get the Hextech Soul. And that's, I think, why they went for that trade. So, no need to accelerate for now, as they already got what they needed on the map. Now they just need to watch for any Garden Gaming mistakes. So, while they wait for the second item power spikes on the two main carries, they aren't yet on the pace where they need to hard commit to anything. That's why we're seeing them fight down a little bit.
Not going to be too much explosive happening, not unless, of course, Tidebringer is able to hit some of those enchanted crystal arrows, in which case a fight can break out kind of anywhere that you really want to see one. Yeah, it's pretty calm, pretty collected at the moment. 30 seconds until the Baron, but without a big team fight win, I'd be very surprised if either of these teams try to start one up. Milkshake trying to get a gank onto Uzo. That's a pretty tanky Cassante at this point.
Yep, unstoppable. You got half of his life. Congratulations. Some of it will be back.
Oh, this might work better.
Yeah, Pibble is stuck between a Yone and a Braum. Will get away though. Oh, they easy from the arrow. The Leandry will take down Pibble. Teleport in from Strato will get a kill back. But with the flash, they do at least hold Loki in place for the moment. Stunned up. I mean, trying to peel for his jungler, but that's an angry lightning rat on his way. He blocks the damage for now. Stun. Sim still has the hook, though. Will get the kill. And a small scrap down on the bot side results in a 1-for-2 trade. Milkshake, where are you? MKL was going mid to get the tower gold. Finds the enemy jungler instead. Would love to go for a play here, since Milkshake is quite low on HP. Full burst over the wall. Misses it. Drags over Tidebringer. Wait, how did the Yone get here? Teleport must have been channeled. Shut down. And Squidly gets an important kill. Pibble now. He also teleported in. Everyone's expending the teleports. Knows that he's dead, so dives as far as he can, trying to find Loki. Loses his life for it. And interesting plays all around.
Absolutely.
Both teams.
Yeah, both teams making very proactive, very aggressive plays. Not all of them working out quite as you would have wanted, and that was a couple of kills back over to Garden Gaming. They're also getting good damage onto this mid lane tower. I think you can pick it up once Strato has arrived. Although Squidly wants to fight, like you said, the electric rat, and actually with this Herald charge, we'll be able to pick up this mid lane tower. And Garden Gaming, they're absolutely still in this game. The gold lead hasn't expanded, I think, is the key thing. It hit about 4k maybe 10 minutes ago, and it hasn't gotten any bigger since. Even though Lazy have been making proactive plays, Garden Gaming have been matching them out. Now also going to be able to pick themselves a bot lane tier 1 tower, although the collapse is coming in.
There's a critical moment here where Lazy and Live are ahead enough where they have 2 item power spikes from pretty much everyone, while Garden doesn't have theirs. They only have it on 2 members, so this is the time to fight, if ever. And even forcing the Baron issue may be enough to bait Garden to overcommitting towards that area, whether it be to establish vision or trying to get a catch. But something needs to be done by Lazy here before the main problems on Garden become too big of an issue.
Agreed, but also, now that you've got that Bork and that Shield Bow completed right now onto Squidly, if you find a big Fate Sealed off of the Yone, that could be the game flipped right on its head all of a sudden. Right now, Strato is top lane, doesn't have a TP either, and is way out of position for this Drake fight.
Good positioning by Lazy here. Managed to sneak over a ward to the river, just so Garden can't force the dragon before they are aware of it. Squidly needs to be careful. Bit separated from the rest of his team, and now we get to the objective choke point. This is where Kennen shines. If you get a flash in right into the enemy backline. Strato looking for it. Already
Big flank.
already there, and Mikkel doesn't know what's about to hit him. North's ultimate into the slicing melt from Exhausted up, but it is too late. Fate Sealed on the 2, but Tidebringer's hitting everyone out of the game. Uzal with the drag out will be getting at least 1 kill. It is 2 for 3, but too much HP left on Milkshake.
Huge flank right there. You could see it coming from a mile away, at least we could, because we've got the all-important vision of both teams. There was darkness behind them for Garden Gaming, and that's exactly what Strato exploits. Manages to get into that fight, and without that massive flank, that fight actually looked pretty good for Garden Gaming. Mikkel did a ton of damage in that one. Squidly also was able to get a nice Fate Sealed off and do pretty good work, but because there is that massive Kennen ult on top of everybody in that fight, Garden Gaming, they're not able to come out on top, and they do lose the Drake as well, so that's now sole point for Garden Gaming, who are in a great spot if they can pick this one up, potentially close out the game. Of course, there is now going to be a fight around the Baron, and I've seen teams with much bigger leads throw it about a Baron.
It's almost like we've seen that in the series. Hopefully it won't happen again, as Lazy has been once again playing a very, very clean game. But something that I'd like to bring up about the previous fight still is the mastermind of Lazy in Life. I don't know whose call it was, but they kept enough pressure so that nobody could go and ward the flank. They knew that they came from mid lane, and that allows Strata to get that flank in there. And if they can execute that again at the Baron area, where they approach from a single flank and place a whether that be a flank ward for Strata to teleport to, or just get the Kennen there, it could be another very difficult fight for the red side team to take.
Yeah, exactly. Garden Gaming, that was kind of one of the best opportunities they've had for a team fight in a while, and because the awesome flank doesn't end up working out for them. Have to see though, because yeah, the Baron is going to be another big challenge. Strato doesn't have the flash available again, does have the ulti backup, and Lazy, they are going to start this one out. It's going to be on vision because of that one sneaky ward outside of the back of the bush. Garden Gaming know it's happening still, down to half health, and they've not really been able to respond yet.
With Trinkets, now they know what's going on. Teleport being channeled by Uzal as well as Strato.
He has flash.
Retreat away, but the Baron's still at 3k HP. Uzal may take a bunch of damage, but they've lost control of the pit. Squidly's time to go in. Blue team secures the Baron, and team fight's going. Pibble over the wall. Uzal is there as well. 2 for 2 for now. AD carry alive only for Lazy, but they secured the Baron on the flip. Milkshake, hero play to dive in for the objective.
I think Sim just about managed to get on top of Loki and make it so that they weren't able to walk into the pit as cleanly as you would have liked. Baron does go over to Lazy, although they're still going in.
Squidly wants to fight, just flashes on top of Tidebringer. The Yone is so scary, but on the flank, the Kennen finds his way once again. Double kill secured. That is the power of Yone. Even against Ash, you just buffer through the CC that is flying at you and almost one-shot the AD carry.
The Eye Edge is on the way right now for Squidly, and once that's completed, that play works every time. And so, you know, these item breakpoints, they are on the way. Garden Gaming, though, all of a sudden, way further behind than they have been throughout the rest of this game. Gold lead explodes up to 7,000. We have only got a minute and a half because of all of that fighting until this next Drake spawns, and it is going to be soul point for Lazy. If they can pick this one up, Hextech Soul would be enough damage, I think, for them to be able to overcome the item breakpoints coming through for Garden Gaming, and the way that they've been playing these team fights out has been pretty dang impressive. I mean, sure, Pibble's been dying quite a lot in these fights, but everybody else has been surviving very, very effectively so far, and Tightbringer's been able to kite these fights out very, very well, kind of in the same way that MKL was in the previous game.
And these sorts of compositions where you have a bunch of short-range, melee-ish characters, Ash does tend to perform quite well. Now, the question for Garden is, can they hold on against the Baron pushes incoming? They aren't that far behind. Sure, the gold lead 7k or so, but when it comes to the carries, they are fairly equal. It's mostly the jungle that is really, really far.
Yeah, mid-even, but about a 1k lead for the Ashe. It's not completely out of the ballpark that this can be a comeback out of Garden Gaming. They just need to find that team fight where they know where Strato is. You know, where Milkshake doesn't get a ton of resets off. If they can kill Milkshake to start off a fight, all of a sudden the gold feels a lot more even, and you're not worrying about the constant resets coming through from a Viego that can make it so tricky to kill him. But of course, getting on top of a Viego in the first place is going to be very, very hard as well. As GG, they had the access to the pit, but they get pushed back just a little bit.
They need to keep the flank covered. Sim is on the flank. They find the jungler. Brand's gone. Goodbye, Loki. Goes into Zonia. Meanwhile, Strato's been caught out by Uzol. Still gets the slicing maelstrom off. And MKL is out of the fight. Can't participate at all. Lazy life. They may not have to even look for the fight with the cannon, as Sim just goes for the flank and finds a beautiful engage.
They could potentially try to push the end right here. Uzol also going to get jumped. Milkshake is tanking up this tower, but I think they've got enough damage to take this kill and to walk this one out. And that is going to be a clean ace right here for Lazy. They don't even pick up the Hextech Drake. They know that they don't need it. Death timers are still pretty long. Loki will be back in just about 10 seconds time though, so there will be some wave clear. I don't know if it's enough though.
3 seconds. Loki, probably the weakest member of the team. Yeah. Doesn't really have a way to defend against this. The Nexus towers are falling down, and ladies and gentlemen, looks like we are heading into Game 5 of the first series of our playoffs losers bracket.
It felt like there was a creeping sense that Garden Gaming could maybe get themselves back into that game, but they never hit their breakpoints. That was an incredibly impressive game out of Lazy. They haven't had big leads in the early game. Well, they didn't have a big lead in the early game in the previous one. The previous 2 games, though, 1 and 2, Lazy had massive leads early on, and the fact they're able to once again close out an early lead has to feel really good. I'm impressed with the way that Lazy played that one out, and I think that potentially they could carry that momentum into the next game. I have question marks, actually, about that brand. That brand did not feel like it.
Yeah, the brand just struggled, and I think it has partly to do with Milkshake getting such a huge comfort champion in the Viego. The Viego Ari, of course, has been in the meta for ages. They've practiced it for a long, long time. And honestly, that playmaking potential paired up with the beautiful cannon flanks that Strato was finding, it just felt like they were the more comfortable team going into this game from minute 1 onwards. But we still have a Game 5. Seems like Garden has selected blue side for the Game 5, forcing Lazy back to the R5 Kassadin side. We've only seen that game on that side, and we'll get to see how it plays out. Small break. We'll be back.
Shoulders, we're showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. Fire passion. I got fire passion. Fire What I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. What I carry on my shoulders, showing stories told. Watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust. Despite how much we lost, you will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. told, watch the fire burn away the cold. I am rising from the dust, despite how much we lost. You will not take away my strength. You will not take away my strength. No.
Beowulf. Game 5 time. Okay, so Lazy in Love is going to go a back and forth series so far, and let's just say how it is. This has been jungle against AD carry the game. Sure, the top laners have had quite a bit of impact. The mid laners have had quite a bit of impact, but Milkshake, Pibble, Mickle, all of these gamers have had such high impact. Draft is going to matter a lot, and Lazy are being sent to the red side where things did not go too well the last time.
No, the last time they were mid lane, I don't think anybody particularly enjoyed that Kassadin play. I think especially the person playing Kassadin. I don't think that was Fibble's favorite game even slightly. But things should be different now. We've decided that leaving the Ashe up and available is okay. I'll be very interested to see if Mickle gets his hands on it again, or if it is once again going to go over to the other side, because both of these ADCs have now had very good performances on this champion. It seems like it is as strong as something that constantly gets banned out is likely to be. But then you're leaving a lot of other very strong things up and available. I think right now, more than anything, it's the champion pools of the junglers that I'm really looking at, because they've been playing very different champions overall, but also I think Milkshake's on an absolute tear at the moment. The way that Milkshake is playing has been, to be honest, my series MVP so far, although obviously that could change in this last one. And the Viego performance was pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, Milkshake's gonna hear you and instantly run it down 0-7. Goes Yumi jungle. Trust me, guys,
no.
this works perfectly well. No. Milkshake has been playing immaculately. And you are correct. Now that the Rumble found its way into the bans, Loki feels like he's been running out of picks a bit. The brand didn't really work out, and while the rest of the team is playing pretty well, we have to see what can they fix this huge hole in their game plan with, and the draft should be ready for us to go into.
Yeah, let's do it. Last draft of this series. Remember, winner continues on in this tournament. Loser is done and out. It could be a double loss to elimination for Garden Gaming if they go down here, or Lazy going to lose in the first round of the playoffs that they compete in. Unsurprisingly, the bans are exactly the same as we have been seeing multiple times so far. It's only the final bans that have changed even slightly. It's going to be a ban onto the Viego, and I agree with that. I think Milkshake looked incredibly strong on that one, and now that Milkshake's jungle picks have been moved to the first round of the draft rather than the second round, you have to get rid of these earlier on. It does still leave both the Vi and the Xinjiao available, both of which I think Milkshake looked pretty dang good on as well. And the Rumble is going to be the ban too. So both of the best junglers for these jungle pickups have gone onto the ban board. Garden Gaming, they kind of had to pick this one up because giving it to Tidebringer would be a bad thing, and Nickel is very good on it.
But now Lazy Life have the option of going for the Alistar. That has been banned away from them for this entire series. And Sim already showed us how good he can be when he's on this supportive, engaged champion. And paired up with a Varus, they can go very aggressive down the side of the map.
Gonna get the flip side of this bot lane matchup. It was Mickle onto this Varus previously, and the Alistar is going to come through. Alistar was the thing that was being banned out previously. Sim is so good on it. It's really a signature pick for Sim, and can find some great engages. Obviously, again, whenever you engage onto an Ashe, you'd better be sure that you're going to pick up that kill, but I think between an Alistar and a Varus, that can be, pretty solid. You can know that you're going to be able to pick up that kill often. Obviously, it's going to depend on the support a bit. The Cassante is omnipresent and continues on in this game. And Garden Gaming, I was going to say, I think they're just going to keep on with the we just want to fight you as much as possible. And Squiggly, not going to pull out the the questionable pickups here.
So if they look in this Ori, there's there's probably anyway gonna be 100% jungle bans flying left, right, and center. They go for the
Wow.
cannon instead. Strato
Okay.
did have a very good cannon game, so I can see why they would go for this. But this lets Garden heavily reduce the pool of available junglers
Yeah.
that is available for milkshake. Things like the buy is gonna be probably off the board. Xin Zhao is one of the options that they can take away. There's also, I guess, Belveth could be fairly annoying paired up with these sorts of champions.
Yeah, very true. Although I've never seen a Belveth do well in a competitive game. I think maybe that's my curse to bear rather than an indictment on the champion in specific, but I'm a little dubious on them after all of the games I've seen. The Orianna being taken away right here out of Pibble's hands, a little bit surprising considering the fact that, it was really good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't taking over everything. And actually, yeah, very surprising to see the Ari off of the board. It could, to be honest, have worked well enough with the composition, but it would have kept things pretty single target, same with the Varus, same with an Ari. See what the pickup is going to be right here. Who gets the counter pick for Lazy?
Oh,
We've
double
forgotten
AD
that these exist!
Double AD carry? Do it through Stunner?
Ah, they wouldn't.
That would be weird. I don't think I've
these
seen
teams.
Wukong for... Okay, Wukong jungle.
Saw one yesterday. It was really, really good. I think Milkshake's going to pop off on this, to be honest. The Wukong is in a good spot at the moment. Any champion that can use the Sun and Sky is in a strong position at the moment. And the Wukong has good lanes to gank right now. Kennon's fine by himself. Bot lane can definitely be a lane that you can try to play around. I really like this pickup.
Well, let's see how well it
like
deals
it
with the poppy.
Yes. A little bit less.
This would be interesting. This would be very interesting. We've heard legends of the Shyvana. Sadly, we won't get to see it. The brand, they think, okay, we messed up the previous game. We still need the AP damage from somewhere. We have things to set up for the brand with. The only thing that I'm slightly afraid of is the fact that they have only the Poppy single target stun and the brand single target stun along with the Ash Arrow. And the Talia that I mentioned does eventually come out. This matches up pretty well into the Yone and can prevent things like the Cassante from rushing in willy-nilly.
Yeah, indeed. So, very interesting compositions once again. There was a hover. There was the potential maybe for us to be getting the standard pickup, where we actually get to see an ADC in the mid lane. Of course, this teams, they were not going to give us that in the end. And we do get pretty interesting comps. Lane by lane, top lane, we saw it previously. The Cassante is going to get pushed in. Kennen will be good. And then it really depends on how these team fights play out. Strato found some brilliant flanks in the last game, and I think is likely to be able to do that too. Mid lane, that's where I think things get a little bit more interesting.
It's gonna be, well, I don't know. It depends on what you mean by interesting. It's gonna be certain volatility is going to be there just due to the fact that you have two junglers that can blow people up. The Talia Yone matchup itself, though, you just hold your E as Talia and you're like, oh, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, not too interesting in the specific lane matchup, but once these champions get to team fights, that can be huge because there is so much that you can do with this Talia. There's a lot of immobile carries that are just going to be sort of stood around waiting to be pushed about with that seismic shove, potentially, which would be very interesting to see. Same thing with the Yone. We've seen it multiple times in this series. The Yone hits a big ulti onto multiple people. You can take over this game, and once you hit that 3-item point, you are so strong that a 1v1 is pretty much always in the favor of a Yone. 2v1 can still be winnable, but obviously getting to that 3-item point is very tricky. It takes a really long time.
Also, a small differential to this going into this game for the Yone is that there's an Alistar.
Yes.
The Alistar headbutt is so annoying to deal with. Whenever you hop in with your E, as long as the Fate Sealed is there to buffer with, you can avoid the headbutt. But sticking to someone is nigh impossible as long as the Alistar is playing it properly. But we are ready to go into Game 5. Who will make it forward in the losers bracket? Will it be God and Gaming coming from the winner's side, losing the Rich Gang, or Lazy in live on their debut performance on the new patch?
really, really high stakes right now. Oftentimes, when you get into a game 5, you do see both teams sit back, 5-point starts, don't want to get anything aggressive early on, don't want to potentially throw your game during the first opening stages of it. At the same time, though, you can get yourself an early kill, especially onto this Wukong. That makes this game so much easier. Wukongs, I usually really don't like them, but I think at the moment is actually in a pretty good spot, and I think that this is a great game for it. Because the Wukong just gives you so much extra team fight ability alongside a Kennen, where you can wombo combo that together really well.
Yeah. We may have some technical difficulties here. Let's see if we can solve them at least for us. Are you seeing the game feed?
No, I mean, I'm seeing Tidebringer. Beautiful.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Oh.
oh.
Oh. Well, that could be a problem.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of one.
Can people hear us? That's also a mystery.
Does the stream live?
Well, we'll figure things out shortly. Okay, stream is on. Great. Now we just need to figure out how to get our game feedback. Promising noises, maybe. So this is the power of nature, right in our game 5.
Of course. I feel like we've analysed these team comps pretty well. I feel like anything
feel
else
so,
is excess analysing, you know, speculation that may or may not bear out. And so, any plans for the weekend, Carvis?
Honestly, not really. I did spend some time yesterday going shopping. One of my friends recently moved, and she wanted to buy a carpet.
Was it a good carpet?
So-
Did you buy
so-
a good carpet?
We went to buy a carpet. Want to guess how long it took? One carpet.
Please don't tell me it's several hours.
I mean, what would you say is the average time to buy a carpet?
I think 1 hour maximum, but like, come on,
Yeah.
20 minutes. Just look at the
That-
carpet, pick the carpet.
Yeah, that's what I said as well. Anyway, by the time for the third hour came by, we still
Oh,
hadn't
no.
decided. And
Oh boy.
eventually, I came to the conclusion: buy 2 carpets, return the one you don't like.
God, I hope neither of our teams right now are going to be that indecisive, or we're going to be here for 16 years. I mean, were they at least good carpets? Like,
I personally like the carpets. One of them was they were both like floral patterns, but
oh, nice.
one of them was like more cold in the color, like brown, black, white, and one of them was
Mhm.
more colorful with like light red, light blue, and white and stuff.
See, I'd like the one that looks the most like a color explosion, but I feel like I might be in the minority in that.
I just see on stream. Oh, cast. Oh, production's back.
Okay.
Okay, so assume camera is on us right now, even though we can't see it.
All right, perfect then.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Carvers and Blocks of podcast. Yeah, I feel like my taste in carpets is probably not great. I got the most lurid pink carpet for
What?
my room last year. And then some lurid green ones also for the room last year. They were not full-size carpets, obviously, not full floor carpets, you know. Little rugs. They were pretty disgusting looking, and I really liked it.
Eh, I am one of those people who like, if I see a room, I have a vision. I just know what like fits that room. I don't know like. Usually, I'm horrible at imagining things and seeing things in my head, but that thing, I just know what looks good in a room.
I don't. I just fill my room with as many things as possible because I love things and I love stuff, and getting to see things and stuff is excellent. And I just I just collect things. Maybe hoarding is the right word eventually, but there's no style to anything. I just love as many different colors and different clashing identities as possible. I don't think our interior decorating company is going to work very well. I think we'd clash quite a lot.
You don't have the feng shui experience, I can't believe.
No, definitely not on that one.
But yeah, for those of you who came back to hopefully see the game going on, our production lost power, so we're stuck here trying to figure things out as it goes. Hopefully, we'll get everything back sooner than later. But until then, we can't see anything, and we hope that we are still on air.
Yes, it seems like we are, but we can't see ourselves, which we usually can while talking, so it makes things a little bit harder. I think that you should be able to see us, though, at this point, although we'll have to wait for the 3-min spec delay to go by to be able to check that that is going to be the case.
I've told you this multiple times, but whenever I am on broadcast,
Something goes wrong. You are
something dumb
cursed,
happens.
man.